everyone. Welcome to FMATalk's Martial Chronicles, co-hosted by myself, Datu Tim, and...
PG Ty's here, as always.
Oh, yes. Always. That's what I like. So, how was your weekend, my friend?
Pretty good. Too short, as always. Same old story.
Isn't it, though? So, man, I tried to send you an invite today. The system wouldn't let me send it to you. I had to copy and go into Messenger. I'm like, I wonder if he blocked me. I wonder if he doesn't like me anymore.
You never know.
Maybe new. Nothing new there.
You never know.
So, what happened?
What'd you do?
I'm doing the end of season prep. But what I did do today, here's something productive for us. I don't know. Have you seen the work I've been doing on our page?
The website?
I updated, the Facebook page. I updated our. Let me just bring this in here. I updated our banner. So let me. Boom! Here we go. I gotta get rid of this.
Oh, nice.
So, how do you like that?
Yeah.
I was rotating the. I gotta see better. I was rotating the guest spots through, but I figured I'd just keep that up there. Live martial art talks with Datu Tim and PG Tye Monday evenings at 8:30 Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
So
nice.
I figured, hey, got to change it up a little. Got to change it up a little. So, but the weekends are just never long enough.
Right.
I got a lot done, but I didn't get what I wanted done.
Well, that's good. I was gonna watch Dune. I didn't go out to see that.
Oh, I heard it drags, just like the book.
Yeah.
What I heard is it sets up the sequel nicely, but it's also a lot of long and you watched the first movie, right?
I watched the David Lynch one, and I don't think I saw the other things.
The one is David Lynch the one with Sting in it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I saw that. That was slower than Molasses, but then it got going. But I mean, that's the mythos, right? So, but it's funny. One of the guys, Mr. Guida, who hasn't chimed in yet, he said he saw it and he goes, some made up system. He goes, man, looked a lot Filipino to me.
Okay.
And torrential rain is down in north central North Carolina. Hoping the internet holds up. So that's Andrew.
Wow. Hey, Andrew.
Yep. So, so that's what's going on there. We're putting we're prepping the garage because now that we have the two Mustangs, I gotta figure out where to put one of them. And how dare I use the garage for a car? I thought it was supposed to be my stack of rattan.
That's right.
Yeah, so
it's your shop.
Yeah, it's a pain. I blew the whole summer off doing that kind of stuff. So, and Mr. Larry says hello. He was in class tonight virtually.
Excellent.
So, if you're up in Durango, Colorado area, and you're looking for Arnis classes, talk to Mr. Larry.
Absolutely.
So, and I want to thank, as always, our sponsors. So, Vulpes Blades, the Modernist 65th Anniversary Camp, and the Modernist University. So, if you get a chance, I'm still working on it, but go over to pracesarnis.com. That is the campsite. Has a bunch of our sponsors on there. We're getting more information. I haven't made the schedule page go live yet, but, we're looking forward to putting that together. We're not going to put names in who's teaching when. I want this to be very organic. I know with people traveling, it's going to make it hard to get everybody to be able to coordinate, when they're flying in and when they're not, So, my mindset is, get here when you can, teach what you want, go from there. And what I'll probably do is have topics set up ahead of time, but I don't know who will teach when. Because, I think it works. I mean, we'll have a guideline closer to the event. But I mean, it's one hell of a lineup, And then, oh wait a minute, well, this one. I have to, but I have to do it. Oh yeah. Okay, so we didn't announce this last week because we didn't have it set. We've been working on this for a couple of weeks now. So in February, we are going to do a triple header event. So it's the only thing I don't like about this. I have to get all the brands out of there. So we're having a Modern East Triple Threat Seminar hosted by Cromwell Martial Arts in Middletown, Connecticut. Because it used to be in Cromwell, now it's in Middletown.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be PG Tye Botting, Master Frank Schakowsky, and myself. So that'll be 5 hours, noon to 5. I've already had a few of my acquaintances over in Fiji reach out. They want to attend the seminar virtually because the commute's a little too much for them.
Still nice.
Yeah, I know. Why can't they fly over from Fiji? What's up with that? But that's cool. Like I said, I've already had people reach out to me as I was announcing the event. Hey, is this going to be virtual? I go, it can be. And actually, Frank and I were in the planning stages. We're discussing it, which you saw because we have the discussion group for us. So,
yep.
But that was cool. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fun in the new year. I haven't taught at Frank's school, but it'll be a nice return because that's how I went out there to teach for Alex and then I met Eric, and then that's how I met Frank. So it was all good. Good.
There you go.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm gonna skip today's rant because I'm a little. We might do shows on it. Recently someone talked about non-Filipinos not being qualified to run Filipino martial art organizations. That's a bunch of racial bullshit. It's racism. Let's put it this way. You know what? Racism goes in all directions. There is no such thing as reverse racism. It's racism. And let me see. It'll be an awesome event. And I'm getting great feedback already. Yeah, I reached out to Dominic Violante, who I've done seminars for that's up that way. Frank, how far is Dominic's club away from you? I don't know. Well, his new club. I know he was in Avon. I don't know. I have no clue about Connecticut geography. So, but he actually offered for me to stay up at his house, but I think we already got something worked out already. But that was nice of him. Yeah, I we're gonna have Dean Franco on the show.
Oh, good.
And I think we want to discuss this because the show in question, as Paulo Rubio kept saying, they kept changing moving the goalposts, and it's like, and I listened to a part, really got frustrated, and I weighed in on this, and they kept rephrasing the question to get the answer they wanted, and the answer that they wanted was that a non-Filipino couldn't inherit the system.
Well, I couldn't tell if they were trying to do it as a joke or what. It was very strange.
Well, one of Bobby's guys was there, which we will see in a couple weeks, and I'm going to have a talk with him about this because if that's who he was, I'm going to watch the show again. I think he was fairly neutral, but someone else I was talking about, he goes, "Yeah, the guys on the bottom were pretty good, and this is one of the guys on the bottom, but they kept going into." Well, what if it's your family system? Well, I got it. If your kid sucks or doesn't do the art, you have two choices. One is to hand it to your son that's not going to take it forward, or the other is to find a viable candidate to take over. But hey, what do I know? I'm a non-Filipino, evidently. So, and there's Rich Parsons.
Hey, Mr. Rich.
But these are a couple things that are just. It's definitely a bigger. This is a quasi rant.
There you go.
But you know what? I do have a little mini rant here. I was thinking about this earlier today. I share a lot of information out there. We share a lot of information, but I also do things like the Modern East Minutes, Datu's Corner, and all this other stuff, lockdown videos,
right,
and stuff like this. So And let me see here. Great point. And I need to send you a message. Thanks for your work. Okay, if you want to send me a message, datutim@gmail.com. And thank you, Romeo. Romeo Bravo. You know, this is something that annoys me. When we are trying to share information as a whole, you've done your JOTS, just one thing.
Mhm.
You've done your Modern Arnis basics. And I've seen people take shots at you.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Gonna happen.
yeah, but here's the thing: we're not, you and I do a lot of this stuff out there, and it's not in this thing. Like when we put stuff out there, if someone doesn't know something, like Ed Kwan didn't realize that black belt grading was done outside of camp.
Hmm.
He didn't realize it was done outside of Michigan camp. Well, he was wrong. That's not a bad thing. It's just a thing. When we tell him this stuff, we're not trying to rub anything in his face. We're trying to share information to elevate the community, because the more information that's out there, the more correct information that's out there versus a lot of the nonsense that's being shared at the moment, the better we're going to know. Like, I remember Wayne.
Wayne
What's Wayne's
Tanke?
last? What?
Tank. I can't. I'll never know how to say it, but Tanke or something like that.
That's Wayne, Leanne's husband.
Yeah.
Things were hot at the moment, and he'd sent for some reason or another, he signed something and he put his rank on Lacan Delawa.
Okay.
Because of how intense things were at the moment, I didn't feel comfortable pointing out that he spelled it wrong, because there's no E's in the word Delawa. Oh, there we go. Tangue. Yeah, I don't know if we're pronouncing it right, but
right.
And if I would have pointed that out to him, I know some people may have perceived that as me being a jerk. Another one is, I'm just trying to make sure that if he's signing things with that, how does it look when you sign your rank incorrectly? Now, it could have been a one-off typo or whatever, but I've seen this happen time and time again where people, the Filipino dialect is so all over the place. There's over 100 dialects, and spelling could be all done differently.
Right.
But, and I just didn't feel comfortable saying anything, but because I know there have been people, even though my intent would have been to help, there would have been people out there saying that I'm trying to shove it in someone's face, that they don't know something and this, that, or the other thing. And that's what a lot of we've been talking about as of late. We're sharing information as we know it. And it's, we're not trying to say that you don't know what you're talking about. If we didn't think you didn't know what you're talking about, we'd keep this information to ourselves and keep it that way. Well, this guy's a clueless moron. I'm just talking about people in general now. We won't tell him that he's doing something wrong. Every time he says this, he's actually calling himself a fat monkey. But it's like, should we tell him? No, he's a fat monkey. But I mean, that's it's not and it just annoys me when not just you and I, and just people in general, they try to share information to elevate the community, to help it. Hey, did you know this? No, I didn't. This is great. Knowing that modern Arnis is influenced by Balintawak is a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that it's influenced by small circle jiu-jitsu and other systems, great things.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make what we're doing less of a martial art. It just points to our roots so we understand where things come from. And then if people choose to do their due diligence and research these other arts, like I know a lot of Jeet Kune Do people have gone into Wing Chun to find out some of its roots.
Sure.
But people won't know to do that if you don't share this information with them. And if you give people this information, then they can choose whether or not that's a journey they want to take or not.
Right.
So, but just lately, it seems that every time something's been brought up, people go out of their way to be offended, as opposed to taking the information and running with it.
People love to be offended.
Yeah. So let's get into today's topic. Student, teacher, master, grandmaster. What does it all mean in modern Arnis? What do you think there? I mean, What are your,
In just in modern Ace or
okay, we're talking about modern Arnis. Oh, okay.
Sure.
Okay. So first of all, we're going to be talking about our opinion on things based on the facts that we know, which we're always welcome to get more information and possibly change our opinions in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But based on the facts of what we have in our knowledge base, we're giving you our opinion on things. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, I want to address this specifically towards modern because there's some things in here. I want to use model as the structure, realizing that some of the stuff we're going to talk about today is unique to modern and may not apply to other systems. But in general, I look at martial arts the same way. You have a student, you have a teacher, you have the master instructor or instructors, you have the grandmaster. And sometimes I don't always separate master and grandmaster a lot. I kind of lump them together at times, depending on what part we're actually talking about. Hey, your monitor's not running behind you?
Yep. No, I didn't have time to do that. Like I said, I got the notice right before we started.
Yeah, it's been a crazy day. No matter how much time I have to get stuff done, it's still not enough time.
Definitely true.
So, do you think those 4 categories are? If you were going to divide up people in a system, or specifically modern Arnis, do you think those, besides dividing them up by belts, do you think that's pretty good 4 categories?
I think that covers the gamut. I was gonna say, really, in one sense, and this is where I'll do my one, throw it out there. There's really only one rank, right? If you're not learning, you're dying, right? That's one of my stupid sayings. But you should always be a student, no matter any of those that you claim. And if you're not, you're getting worse.
I feel that the student thing is part of all 4 levels.
Yep.
But some people may not get beyond or want anything beyond level 1, right, which is the student.
It's fine. I love being in student mode.
Oh my God, I love it too. Sometimes it's painful, but it's a good pain.
It's a good pain.
Especially if you're around Mall Morning, man. His locks suck. In a good way.
Right.
It's so damn painful.
I can imagine. I haven't met the gentleman, but I would like to.
Well, once things get better, I'm going to make sure we all get together. He's a cool cat.
Nice.
So,
that's good. Okay.
So, to me, and like this goes back with some of our talks. Like, what do you think about the future? And that's what it boils down to. If you're just a student, then the future means nothing to you. Or doesn't need to mean anything to you. You can just be, right. You're training, you're having a good time. You're not thinking about teaching. You're just doing personal consumption. Hey, Nathan, just like a lot of people do. Like a lot of Remy students were just students.
Right.
A lot of the black belts were just students.
Right.
They came in here to fulfill a personal desire or gaps in their training that, because no system has it all.
Or just interest, right? For whatever reason, right? They were interested for whatever reason.
They came on board, they did training, and that was it. Nothing ever happened. They just did the training.
Yep.
But, and that doesn't mean you can't be special. No, you can have some very high talented, high caliber students out there that just have no interest in teaching. They just don't want to do that. They're like, I've had a whole bunch of guys run through the club. Like, I've only had one person. Actually, we had 2 people open up clubs, both of which were an hour and 45 minutes away. Plenty of distance away.
Okay.
And one talk about it. And then just life got in the way.
Well, it's not for everybody. Like you said, people are just maybe doing an interest. Maybe it's just scratches an itch. This is something different. I like it a little bit, but not enough to go anywhere with it. And not everybody's meant to be a teacher. That's fine.
Yeah. But then we get to the teacher part.
Right.
The advanced student. Or maybe the intermediate student. Depending on how you want to look at it.
Right. Well, remember basic instructor, right? You could go to a whole camp, and if you did well enough, there are times a few people, got basic instructor.
Yep.
And it was good. They got started, and they get some inertia.
Yep. 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 But it's the next two where we start getting into things.
True.
Yeah. Now, specifically, as rank driven, Modern Arnis did not have Grandmaster as a rank driven program.
Right. Not
Hello,
that I ever saw, or that. Yeah, there was only one, right?
Yeah. When it came to Master, if there would have been a Master title that was rank driven, I would have had it because I was the highest ranked black belt in the country at the time. That was active.
Well, you did have Punong Guro, which is one one way to translate that.
But that was a unique one. There was only two of us that had PG,
right?
And that was Marlena Hafano and myself. I was the first. And it was a one-off title. There's a bunch of one. I don't want to say one-off. There may have been like a one-off title which had two people receive it.
Right.
There was a 6 and a 7-off title.
Right.
Category. There's a bunch of one-off titles that went out to a small handful of people, but people said that Senior Master was 6th. Well, it wasn't because I didn't have it. What happened was somebody became a 6th degree, and then later they became a Senior Master while still being a 6th degree. So
not every title is associated with ranks, right? There are a lot of places where it's
Datu is a perfect example.
Right.
There is no rank with Datu. Bong Hernelas, to my knowledge, had no rank whatsoever in Modern. But he was a Datu. I don't know what Shashir's situation was. I'm not sure what Kelly's was at the time. I lean towards the title over everything else based on what I hear, but once again, not confirmed. Okay, I'm late. Finished punking. All right. Meg's logo too. Yeah, okay. So Jeremy did you see the logos he did last night?
No, I didn't see those.
Oh, he did the WMA logo on a pumpkin.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, I'll pull that up while we're chit chatting.
Yeah, it's getting that time of year. It's my my wife's favorite time of year.
Oh, if you're up here, I had a whole bunch of Halloween things I'm giving away because we've upgraded so many things. I've got too many Halloween decorations.
You can't have too many.
It does when you've only got a certain amount of space to put it in.
Well, that's a spatial problem, not a Halloween decoration problem.
If I had the TARDIS, it wouldn't be a problem.
There you go.
But okay, here we go. He said mine turned out the best, so I'm just saying.
Oh wow, very nice.
Mine was better. WMA rules.
So you got Craig's, you got WMA, and you got Chris's, right?
Yep, Tsunami. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty
excellent.
Badass.
That's really pretty cool. I am not that artistical.
You're not artistical?
Sure. I'm not artistical. No. Yep.
Okay. And there we go. So, what's a teacher or what's a student? A student, someone who's training the art.
Mm-hmm.
A teacher, someone who's continuing their journey, but trying now to share the art.
Helping. Yeah.
Yeah. But they're still continuing their journey of exploration and higher learning. So, Master, we didn't have it designated by rank, that's a hard one. But if we did it by rank, I would say 5th degree would be a Master. Mm-hmm. That's depending on the system, 4th or 5th degree. Korean, I think, is 4th in some cases. And then usually, even though some art systems don't use the title of it until higher, like I think Parker's Kempo uses it higher. 5th degree is pretty much the generic level for Master. But, We should be mastering the art, not a portion of it. Trying to do the whole art, and it's hard. I think part of the reason why maybe modernists didn't have that term being used is that not many people committed to the art that way. I mean, we talk about it being the art within your art. So Remy didn't necessarily. I mean, a lot of people were already masters and grandmasters in their own system.
Sure.
So there was no need. Just numerical rank was satisfying enough.
Right.
You know, you were. I mean, if we get down to it, if we talk about the official titles of modern Arnis, that the two main titles were Guro and Grandmaster.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else was. Would you say all the other titles were one-offs?
Hey, also specialties. There you go. Because I don't know of any of them that were associated with rank. I know that there was some talk about, like you said, a senior master or master, but I was never too sanguine on all of that. I mean, it was never clear to me. I mean, for me, and we've had discussions about this before. For me, master is a teacher, recognized teacher of teachers, right? That's one way to look at it. Or maybe you've got a student who's teaching other people on their own. Maybe that's a master. There's a lot of ways to look at it.
Well, and let's talk about this, because in modern Arnis, if we were going to use the term master, what would you? Oh, goodness gracious, Tom, do I want to do this? Tom, I love you, man, but you have you stir up shit more than I do. All right, here we go. You're gonna have to read this because my camera's right in the way. I know I'm probably gonna regret this.
All right, I'll read this. It's from Tom Carnes, who I haven't met, but I know a little bit. Let's see. So Tom Carnes. Okay, I have why the AKA Guardian. I had Shaolin training, and my certificate said Guardian and Master. Most every art I did said Guardian and Master. I collected and preserved many films, so that was the Guardian part. I have over a terabyte of martial arts films, 1930s to now. It did not mean rank, but it was like saying historian master, kind of a combination. Okay.
Now that is, you know what? I dig that.
Yeah.
Hey, like this. Tom, any old footage of Remy you want to shoot my way? No, dude. Like, I tell you what, Tom. I remember back. Let me think about this. Where was I? I was at the Caboose. Okay, so I have to think of my schools geographically. So we were by Garden View. I had a school right by Garden View, where the Caboose ice cream place was. So that was 93 to 2000. So I was doing a seminar in Pennsylvania. He sent the host a VHS cassette, and he sent me he sent me a video of his certifications, and then he sent me some footage of Jimmy Tacosa with Angel Cabales.
Oh, nice.
Using full-size sticks.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. So
that would be pretty far back.
Tom, anything you got back, brother? I'm more than happy to pay for shipping too. Okay, so and Tom, he likes that. Okay, Jeremy likes you, Tom.
Yeah. No, I mean that what he described.
So he's got no taste.
Yep. There you go. He may have it still.
You know what? That's the okay. You know what? I've heard, a lot of people talked about Tom over the years. They've talked a lot of crap. He goes, I have it. Okay. I may have that. Okay, cool. They've talked a lot of crap about Tom. But, I've always just said, hey, listen, you know what? Tom's been nice to me. I got nothing bad to say about him. That is awesome right there. He was a guardian, i.e., a historian. Boom. That makes so much sense. And you know what? A title like that, I can see Remy issuing to somebody because it is descriptive of what he was trying to do.
He was very descriptive when he, it's kind of like some of the titles he gave out were almost like nicknames. Not really, but I mean, they meant something personal to him that might have been special, like you said, specialized.
Hey, here's one. Okay, so Joe would love to see that footage, of Angel and Jimmy.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, Tom, I'm officially inviting you on the show.
There you go.
Oh.
Excellent.
Hey, Carl Minkles agreed to be on the show, by the way.
Yep. Yeah. Did you guys pick a time? You're still working?
No, it's on me. I'm just such a pain in the butt lately. Or I've been dropping the ball on so much stuff because of the end of season stuff. Like I said, we Last week, I had all 4 cars in the shop. And while we took the Equinox in to have the brakes done, their work truck backed into it. So now, when we get back from North Carolina, the very next morning, I got to drive the truck in, or the Equinox in, so they can do all the body work to fix what they broke.
Wow.
But they're paying for it. And like when I had the van and I was spitting, turns out one of the coil packs were bad. They took off the manifolds. They replaced the coil packs. They gave me a whole brand new set of plugs and a tune-up, free of charge for the inconvenience.
Oh, nice. Nandito ngayon.
Hey, ¿cómo está ka?
Here he is.
My man. And then I said, hey, ¿cómo está ka? And what happened? Google thought I'm talking to it on my phone.
Oh, nice.
I don't know how they got that one.
No, that's weird.
That's nowhere's near saying Google. Help me. Yeah. So I didn't forget about that request you said to me, brother. I'm going to be doing some filming this week and getting all my old things caught up. I've got 2 projects coming up. I've got a new variation of Stickform 4. Fix the issues in it. And I got a new video coming out, the new 12 angles of attack. Yes, those are clickbaity topics.
That'll stir things up. But hey, if it makes you think about what you're doing and you like it and you lets you explore, that's what it's about.
There we go. So no, but I mean, you know what? I like how Tom described it. You know what? Here's the problem.
That makes sense. Yeah.
People talk smack all the time. They pass judgment, and they don't let someone give it an opportunity to explain something. You know what? Tom just gave us a great explanation. That's a phenomenal explanation.
Yep.
What about North? Okay.
I still think the nickname he gave Raymond is another title. King of the World.
King of the World.
Yep.
There we go.
Raimundo, right?
Raimundo. Okay, so we're getting silly.
Yep. All right. So let's see. We got to master.
So level 1, you're a student, and you just want to get better at the art.
And we're all that. Hopefully,
you may want to try to master the physical expression of the art.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have busy at the office. Okay. Then you have teacher, who is trying to. Once again, the goal is we're all trying to master something. Master ourselves for that matter. Master my domain. There's a French comment there. No.
Well, and there's another term too, which people sometimes focus on, but different arts, right? They got master instructor, right? So you're mastering not only the art, but also teaching it, which is a skill, a specialized skill.
So if we were going to use master as a rank-driven thing in modern Arnis, I think one of the requirements would have to be producing black belt students.
Mm-hmm.
Because once again, now here's the thing. If you're not producing students, there's no need for rank. If you're in a school, you want to see where you're at. But when you get to a certain point, so let's say I'm just teaching. Remy passed. I was a 6th, which is 7 because it was black, then first degree in modern. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if all I ever did was teach out of my house and just had a handful of students, there's never a reason for me to get rank again. The only reason why I need rank is for the benefit of my students. If I'm producing students and they're getting higher, to be able to put them where they belong, if I'm not at that level. I've got a guy in Buffalo here that's been Mr. Guida. He's been a black belt, Kempo, for 7 years.
Right.
He's got black belt candidates. He needs to go up. And in my opinion, my humble opinion, he needs to be promoted not one, but maybe multiple belts.
It happens.
There are certain circumstances, and we've done that.
Sometimes you have to catch up, yeah.
Someone's sitting around, they're not, they've been left out in the cold and they've been training, but they just haven't tested,
Right.
and their skill set got going and they're producing good students, hey, you do what needs to be done. But the thing is, if you're going to be a master instructor, you should be mastering the art. Does this mean you're perfect at everything? No, there's going to be areas that you have deficiencies in. We know that. But if we're talking master, which I think 5th is a good number for that, would you not say?
It's pretty common. Hey, even in my Kung Fu style, it's master instructor at 5th.
So we would have had to produce a few black belts by then, right? I mean, that's not. So you have, as we call it, our martial children.
Right.
Okay.
The family that chose you.
Oh my goodness, Sean Kelly. We're just talking.
Oh wow.
Hey brother, man, Sean, did you lose weight, or is that Photoshop? Holy cow, that looks. I mean, I'm gonna look up Sean here.
You get distracted by the model there.
I haven't seen him. Oh my goodness. Hey. Damn, if that's a current photo, man, you're looking good, man. You're getting kind of sexy there.
There you go.
Not that sexy. But oh my goodness, that's we taught down in Orlando together. Not Orlando, Erie, PA.
Okay.
And we've been a couple other events together throughout the years.
Oh wow.
Look at that! I lost 42 pounds. I think I found it. Good for you. Oh my God.
As long as you're feeling healthy, that's awesome.
Dude, yeah, that's cool. And then Mr. Wolf said hello.
All right, PG Wolf.
All right, PG Wolf. So we used it. Okay, so in our group, we used Punong Guro at 5th degree black belt. Mm-hmm. Now, Professor only issued it out to 2 people. The first was myself, and the second was Marlena Hafano. And the mindset was that I was a guru, and when I produced my first guru, that made me Punong Guro. That was what Remy said. And actually, the late Rudy Casico up in Toronto is a good friend of mine. Mm-hmm. He was always Guru Rudy, and then he produced Guru Joby, and then he became PG Rudy. Mm-hmm. So because they weren't doing numerical ranks, they were just doing. Okay. They had a title-based system, very much like. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, my friend. And actually, I'll come down and visit because I'm doing a little tour in Florida in January.
I was gonna say, yep. It's timely. There
we go. Go figure. Yeah, I'm gonna put a lot of miles on that rental car. So in a title-based system, there wouldn't be numerical rank. I mean, it's still the same. I mean, really, it is the same, but it isn't. Some people use title, like in Pikiti Tertia. There is a lot of there's a lot of titles in that.
Right.
Whether you use a colored belt, a sash, a wristband, colored chapeau, as one of my guys got a little crazy. The one time, someone we thought it was a Mickey Mouse dojo, so we thought they gave out different color ears.
Oh wow! Nice.
We were up way too late and we're driving too long and probably had a little too much to drink.
But, better than the Muck dojos with different colored arches.
There we go. That's all good. But so that's where we use Punong Guro because it's a title that Professor issued to myself. Mm-hmm. It's done in the FMA culture, mm-hmm. and as it was explained to me by several people who've actually used it themselves. It wasn't the head of a system, although some people like Edgar Salute used it that way.
Right.
Or he was just doing the same thing. Oh my goodness. Facebook user from Saudi Arabia.
Nice.
Unfortunately, your name doesn't come through, but thanks for listening. Please, if you can just throw out a name, we'd love to be able to address you by your name.
Hopefully that's not their name.
Yeah, if it's Facebook user, there's nothing we can do about it.
That's right.
Especially after I listen to CNN about all that stuff.
But yeah, I mean, so it translates literally as head teacher.
There you go. Which could be interpreted as head of a system, or the head of a school.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So and because, when we started using that title in our group officially, the caveat was that you need to have produced at least one black belt.
Mhm.
Now, we are changing that. We're going to have a slightly higher level, because if we're going to say you're a master, we need a couple more belts. Now, if it's modern Arnis versus our Praesis blend, we use the title in both. Because I still do separate. I have a blended curriculum, and I have a separated program as well. So I'll teach modern Arnis exclusively, because modern Arnis can be done two ways. One, as what Remy taught most people, was the art within your art, or two, as your art. It didn't have to be the art within your art. It could just have been your art.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I learned it, and you learned it the same way.
Took it that way. Yep, that's how we did it.
You may have come from Kung Fu.
Yep. Still there, part of me, but separately. I'm schizophrenic. I'm martially schizophrenic.
But you can train the art as a standalone program. Like when I did my Kun Tao and Sikaran,
yep.
I did not go to them saying, teach me to cross train. Like when I took my black belt test, it was 4 years in before they let me teach. Or I mean, not teach. I'm sorry. Before they let me test. 4 years in. I came in as a Grandmaster, certified through Grandmaster Ernesto Praesis.
Mm-hmm.
They, Mark DeLeon, my teacher, made me, and I showed up wearing a white belt,
mm-hmm.
which shocked them. But at the end of the day, I went up and trained it as a standalone program. Now, a lot of stuff I had learned already from other things, but they fed me step by step, so I would not mess up. So oddly enough, I've seen an instructor once accept a higher rank than his students. Wait. Okay, my camera once again is in the way. Can you say that again?
Yeah, accept higher rank than what he was by his students. So in other words, the students get together and say, "Hey, we think you're this rank." I mean, I've seen that too. It happens sometimes. There's special circumstances too.
We'll get into that in a second. Hey, Neil, how you doing?
Hey, ¿cómo está na, Neil?
Hey. Right, not uncommon.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it can be tricky, and it could be. There's a lot anyway.
Yeah. You know what? That's a topic we could have in the future.
Right.
I don't think, and if we do it, let's put it this way: no matter what you do, there's the yin and yang of everything. You're going to find a way that makes sense. Like, here we go. I'm going to give you one. This is the McDojo thing. You're a McDojo if you have birthday parties. That's what you're told. Okay. No. If you now, I might listen to you if you said you live by birthday parties. You live and die by birthday parties. Okay. All right. But I had one of my little girls here who was like a foster child to me. Mm-hmm. Little Hannah comes up and goes, 8 years old. Datu Tim, can I have my birthday party here?
Nice.
Okay. It was one of those faces. It's like Shia. How do you say no to Shia? I mean, when it comes to Shia, I'm worried about her kicking my butt because I trained her that way.
Right.
Kind of lame. Well,
No, that's about the students promoting their teacher.
Yeah, no, I know what he's talking about. Yeah, okay.
I would almost always agree. I'm sure there's some cases where it makes sense, but it's still the other thing people to remember. Here's the thing that I want to say, and we said this before. I think we agree. The ranks, whatever they are in your system or school or style, are only consistent within that organization, school, style, whatever the separate function is, right? So it really doesn't, matter what somebody is in style X for the people in style Y, right? It has no bearing on what they do.
Okay. And Miguel Ruby, how are we doing, sir? So you're down in the Sacramento area and you're looking for Doce Pares and or Yao Yan, talk to Miguel Ruby, Rancho Cordova Martial Arts Center.
Nice.
Absolutely agree. Okay. And here we go.
What's your opinion on Dog's brother in full contact sparring? So Dog Brothers full contact sparring, I guess. Is it about the sparring or is it about the brothers? I'm not sure.
If you can elaborate, one of our guys fights Dog Brothers style fighting.
Yep, isn't he? He's dog, right? He's a dog.
Yeah, he's like if he'll be
He's
a
not
full
named
dog
dog.
once he fights in an international event.
Right.
But with he should have actually. It's funny because Renee. So Renee, who chimed in before, I called him up the one day. I go, hey, listen, there's Craig Mason.
Candidate, okay.
He's a candidate. Okay, good, yes. So I went up to him and go, listen, if you are thinking about bumping, Renee's good peeps. Renee is good peeps. But I reached out to him to say, listen, if you are not, there was a combination. They thought Craig already was a dog. And maybe there was a little respect thing that they didn't want to cross swords.
He's not a good guy. Is that what he says?
Like, okay, all right, Renee. Then you suck, Renee. Does that make you feel better?
now I think I like him. If he's going to say that, I haven't met you, Renee. But hopefully we will.
I don't know if he ever did. I left a pair of sticks in combat arts for his daughter, so nice. I don't know if they ever got it. But Renee, I like Renee. Let's put it this way. He'd fit. He's about as rough around the edges as we are.
All right.
Okay.
I'm not so rough around there. I'm
yeah. Well, he's yeah. Well, you're nicer than I am.
I'm the nicest a-hole.
I'm the jerk. I'm a full contact. You got that full contact personality, but she loves them. Okay, that's all I need to know. Uncle Doc got her a pair of sticks. So, but the thing here is, I had reached out to Renee. I'm like, listen, Craig and Steve hang out with you guys, and if you are holding back on making them dogs because you're concerned about there being a problem with me, I want you to let you know, don't. By all means, promote them. There's not an issue. I encourage my guys to do things. And because it wasn't Dog Brothers Martial Arts, it was becoming a Dog Brother. Mm. And then shortly after that, they actually had a speech. Oh, sometimes we're on these guys so much that we don't realize that they're not Dog Brothers. And then that's when Craig became candidate. So he was supposed to go to Europe for a gathering, and then COVID hit. There's a couple things he was supposed to do, and it just kind of fell apart. COVID.
Right.
COVID.
Yep.
Damn that COVID. So, let me see here. And definitely threw his name in. Solid guy and solid people. Mm-hmm. The truth is in the time. Yep, time in. Yep. Yeah. So, I'm down with the Dog Brother style combat. Mm-hmm. It's not for everybody.
Yep.
I've never done it to that full extent. I've done live stick. Actually, I started a live stick, no gear. We didn't do headshots. We didn't go hard. We got a lot of welt marks, and then I realized then all of a sudden, I was like, you could think about safety gear. Huh. Things change. I like padded stick fighting because I can do it any day of the week. I don't have to worry about getting hurt. I can work my timing. And then every now and then I pull the live sticks out just to keep my reality check.
Well, all the different kinds of sparring do different pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
I like them all.
Yeah. So I like the padded stick fighting. I like the live stick fighting. Not a big fan of the weak calf stick fighting.
Right. I was the only one I was going to say.
Well, and here's the reason I have the problem with it. It's not the rules; it's the enforcement of the rules.
Right.
One of the issues, because I've got people on multiple sides of that equation, and they're like, so GSBA doesn't get along with weak calf and blah blah blah, and they talk about things. And, the thing here is a lot of times there's a minimum armor requirement, but there's not a maximum armor requirement.
I hear you, Renee. That's tough. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and any sport you go towards the rules, not necessarily the spirit of what's supposed to be done, because if there's a game, you play to win.
Right. Oh, nice. Good. I'd like to get there sometime eventually.
Yeah, well, the border.
Now that my hip works, I might be able to do some limited stuff.
Yeah, the border is now open, and the Canadians will be coming down shortly. They'll be at the December gathering. So, anyways, we're digressing way too much.
That's okay.
So, I mean, I think if you're gonna, so like we use PG in our group, and I think if we're gonna talk about being a master, because that PG is master, you should master the art. I mean, like if you're like George, George, he's a Reiki master. He's a master. He's not, it's a tangible thing, So we should have had. Okay, so teacher, this is above teacher. This is master. You should have produced a couple instructors by then. You should master the art, not part of the art. You should master the entire art. We're talking 5th degree. We're not talking, I got my black belt. Now if we're talking, depending on the art, even if it was, let's say you average 3 years of belt, 3 years to black or first. Okay. And then, so 3, 5, that's 15. So you should be 18 years in if you're a master, right? Theoretically.
That's about right, yeah. I did the math. There's a breakdown minimum time. It depends on different styles, right? Yes, I agree with Renee.
Yes on both.
Right.
We'll bring a bottle.
There you go.
But not the stuff not the Hellboy stuff.
Right. Nobody needs that.
No, that's just a cool bottle.
Yep.
But if you've been in it took you 3 years to become a black, but let's say modern. Let's say it took you 3 years to get your black. Okay. And then it's 3 years for every belt after that. Well, it's 15 years, 3 to get black, then 3 to get your first degree. That's 18 years to become a 5th degree black belt. Or it should have been.
Minimum.
Right. But of course, no, I won't go down that path today. So at 18 years, you should master the system.
At least in some way, pointable direction there. Because how else are you going to teach teachers, right? Yeah. Really legitimate teachers that need your help. Then yeah.
Now the other thing I will say, let's look at the Modern Arnis platform. So to get my 6th degree, because it was me, it was 16 years. Okay, I don't know, 15 years. And what I mean because it was me, I was the only one doing it full time. Remy's standard for everybody else was doing it as an adjunct system to your main system, adjunct program to your main system. So by that standard, I was different. I was doing 15 classes a week. I wasn't doing 1 class a week. You won't mention the system? Okay. Better not be my system.
Well, but, and to be fair, sometimes depending on who you brought to the table and things like that, those first few black belts could be a little faster, right?
Yeah, and well, I mean, think about this. I produced 21 black belts, so no one else was doing that. So I proved myself on multiple levels. And if you're talking karate, taekwondo, you might think that 21 black belts isn't a lot. Okay, I get it. But inside of Arnis, which we've discussed already, the thing that was a pain in the butt is that more people didn't produce black belts. That
they all had something else. Usually, people had something else.
Yeah, they treated Modern Arnis as an ugly stepchild.
Holy moly! So I'll read it. But there was a system that required that there was a time to get Tuhon was 20 years. Now they're getting them in 3 to 5 years. So I don't know what system that is, but I get you.
Yeah, you do.
I probably do. I'm not going to guess though. But so since my first of the sane languages in the area was Malay, Tuan means something different. So that doesn't bother me too much.
Okay.
I can afford that.
No names.
No names. There you go. Protect the innocent.
Listen, I'm going to do my quick step out because I got to lock up the place as usual.
All right. I'll get us back on track maybe or something.
Or just talk about me.
Well,
I
That's
can
boring.
still. Hey, listen, all you guys that are making these smart ass comments, I can still hear you.
That's right. And I can see comments, so if anybody wants to chime in, that's all good. So let's see. We got through student. Everybody should still be a student. We got up to teachers, right? People that are helping other students while they help themselves. And then we've got we went up to masters in terms of what you've done to internalize the material, and also that it's verifiably good enough to teach other active teachers. And then there's some ranks and things like that. So I think we got up through those. Master's weird. In the old days, maybe I'm showing my age. Nice. I don't know if Tim blinks or not, Renee. I can't put your post up there, but I can see you. When you ran across people, master was a big deal back in the 80s, right? Anybody who's a master, that was huge. So there's a perspective shift in the last 4 decades that is very different. And I don't think it's just because I was, starting out, right? I think that you hardly ever, ran a, Sifu and Sensei were big enough, and then every once in a while you come up a master. Oh my gosh, wow, they must know stuff, and they did. They were amazing. Seems to have changed recently, so that's sort of a separate discussion. But I wanted to indulge myself there for a second. See if you got messages. Oh, I was going to say, so I'll read it since I can't post it. Renee's posted. Man, ever notice Tim doesn't blink? He may or may not. I'm not sure. I know I blink a lot. My eyes are always dry because I'm looking at monitors all day long. So the other thing is, right, so I mentioned that in my view, right, ranks only mean something within the school or style or organization or whatever the paradigm that the ranks had been constructed to support, right? So there's that part of the puzzle too. So if you've got a lot of maybe a title-based ranking system, and that's what you do, then that's cool. Or maybe you've got things. I know in some styles, Kyoshi and Shihan are reversed. That happens sometimes. Nice. So Renee posted, "Hey, remember Count Dante?" I think we probably remember. A lot of us remember those ads and the very entertaining stories about the colorful person and who knew what and all of that good stuff. Yes, fun times. Fun times. I forgot what I was saying there, and no one to keep me on track. I would also say, let's go back to teacher for a second. Teacher, I think, is there's a wide range there, right? So maybe you got your basic instructor or whatever you want to call it, right? Depending on the style. In modern, we had basic instructor, advanced instructor, and we had the black belt ranks. All of those were a teacher of some sort. In fact, actually, I think Remy had me form a club at Texas A&M University when I was maybe advanced instructor before I was black. And one of the best things he ever did for me. But I took it seriously and was growing myself while I helped others grow, right? I think it's a calling, a focus, and a responsibility. So not to downplay teachers, right? We're talking about masters, and we'll get to grandmaster, but teachers and students are the bulk, and the groundswell really happens at that level, right? It's important. It's important to remember that, right? So a lot of times, if you're teaching out there, thank your students, because without the students, you wouldn't have anybody to get your own self better and share with and keep the art going. Anyway, so you're back, and I forgot to talk about you.
Oh, I was listening.
Okay, good. Renee was poking at you, though.
Yeah, well, he needs to,
Like I said, I decided I liked him just from a couple posts, so there you go.
Man, ever notice that Tim doesn't blink? I don't know what you're talking about.
Are you a Robo Tim?
I'm Robo Tim. No, I'm not going to blink for the rest of the... Oh, hey, remember Count Dante?
Yeah.
I remember Count Dante. Okay, so
So I just recapped if you weren't listening, and we got us back up to Master. And I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to say about Master, or how it did or wasn't really obvious, or was used in Modern Ace from your perspective? I think I said what I saw, which was
Well, okay, let's break it down. Master was not used widely,
right.
And here's the thing: we're talking Remy Praesus Modern Arnis,
right?
And that's going to be that's going to be an important part later, where we talk about certain aspects of things,
right?
What we're going to talk about, people are not going to like our opinion on this. You hear the word on this? Opinion? We're allowed our opinion. You don't have to like it. I really don't care.
How I look at things, how you look at things. That's just how it is.
And, if you feel a certain way, whether those feelings are merited or not, those are honest feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about what our opinions are and how we feel about things. And, we may all have to agree to disagree, but no one should get butthurt because they don't like what's coming out of our mouths. It's just, we look at things a little differently. And when we look, like, this show is based on two people who were direct or personal students of Remy Praesus. Mm-hmm. So we have a unique perspective on things. We're not second, third generation students, which I don't know why people, once again, are still getting upset about that. Remy was our teacher. We both had, actually, the funny thing is, Ty and I had the exact same path. We both had a student that one way or another passed us up to Remy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Modern Arnis, Modern Arnis is what Remy taught. Combatan is what Ernesto taught, and Hinigran Arnis de Mano is what Roberto taught. They all had their own unique things, but and we'll get into that in a minute. So, Grandmaster. So we level 1 student, level 2 teacher, level 3 master, mm-hmm. level 4 grandmaster. These are the 4 things I look at, 4 levels that really mean anything, because who cares what belt you are? I mean, you're going to look at one, you're going to look at one of these things one way or another, or be at one of these levels. So, what's a requirement for grandmaster? Well, I think you need to have grandchildren. And I'm not talking literal, I'm talking your Marshall grandchildren.
At least.
You should, so this is one thing. I have second generation students that are teaching on their own. Mm-hmm. So Jeremy is on the show a lot. Mm-hmm. Jeremy is a student of Craig Mason. Jeremy didn't get his black belt yet. Mm-hmm. But his classmate, Evan, did, mm-hmm. which is also Craig's son.
Who's doing seminars on his own.
And he's doing seminars. So now with both of them, even though Jeremy doesn't have so Jeremy would be an apprentice instructor with us. Mm-hmm. So Jeremy is teaching at a kickboxing club. So he has his own program away from Craig.
Right.
Now and then Sam has Byron. Okay, very
good.
So there's another one who's one of my grandkids. You mm-hmm. have so I got, as an example, I got one branch of my tree. Craig Mason's my student, and Evan Mason and Jeremy Gaudette are his students. Mm-hmm. Jeremy's going to get his black belt sooner or later. Evan already has it, and they're both teaching. And Evan is doing his own seminars on it already.
Right.
But Jeremy's got his own program. Sam is one of my black belts. Sam has a student underneath him, Byron. There mm-hmm. we go. And he's teaching down in Texas, which we will be in Texas in a couple of weeks.
That's right. Looking forward to that.
So, but why don't you tell us what you have set up that way?
I've got a couple different branches myself, right? I got Abel, my first student, who's got 2 instructor level folks who teach at bigger events, right? So they don't have seminars on their own, but they do help teach at larger multi-style events and do that, which is great. Plus they help him. And I've got Dr. Hume, who has Darren Daly, who has his own school, or had his own school. He's, I think that's on hiatus right now, but he had active students under his regular classes. And that's That's already, a student of mine's students having his own students in regular classes. So that's what we mean by grandkids. Now, that I don't think that guarantees anything, but that's a sort of a minimum.
Oh, because
there's other parts.
there's a bunch of other parts.
Right.
So
and
that
I'm old school.
alone does not make you grandmaster.
Right.
So let me before we go any further. Modern Arnis was created by Remy Amador Praces in 1957.
One person.
And in Modern Arnis, there is only one grandmaster. That's the way it is.
That's my feeling. It's how I looked at it. But I'm like I warned them earlier. I'm old school. That's how I look at it in Kung Fu. That's how I look at it in.
Well, let's put it this way. What's being done now is people are using Ernesto's platform and other people's platforms to promote people to. What's this here?
You want me to read it?
Yeah, because once again.
So Joe says, Remy changed his perspective over time. In 1976, he named Robert Damot master and fourth degree in Modern Ace. He changed his take over time. 1980s was a big change time with the advent of summer camps and issues with one specific student. Flint School was the Damot, Jeff Fields, Jeff Arnold School.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now here's the thing. That using that doesn't say that Remy used master as a end-all be-all thing, because he may have just called the person a master.
Mm-hmm.
It may have been a one-off situation. Was the master in that art, or did he also do other systems?
Right.
So, because a lot of times professor would address somebody by their primary system.
Sure.
He didn't call, Ron Van Browning, who would teach with Remy, mm-hmm. and was also ranked through Remy. He would refer him as GM. He wouldn't refer him as one of his students.
Right.
So, and when I go into when I would go to events coming up, getting ready for my Kun Tao test, I would go to events and they would refer to me as Datu Tim. I wasn't a black belt in Kun Tao. The title of Datu didn't refer to Kun Tao, but, who knows? Okay. And then Damot focused on Arnis. Both Jeff, them had black belts and rank in Taekwondo. Okay, yeah. So.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
Anyway, so that's one way of looking at some of the things that would make you.
One of the prerequisites. How's that?
There you go.
One of the prerequisites.
There you go.
When I look at Modern Arnis, there's only one. And as far as I'm concerned, the position is still vacant for multiple reasons. Mm-hmm. And we can get into that in a minute. But the platform in Modern Arnis there was only one.
It wasn't even an option, right? But in my mind, that's that old school take of, founder in a well-respected art. That can be grandmaster, sure, right? But that's one person. Or inheritor, right? That could be in one as well, the head of the whole thing. What else? Maybe the idea that you're the main teacher of all the masters. That would still be one in my book. But again, I warned everybody, I am old school. And there you go. Frank's with us, I guess.
Okay. So I don't use the term grandmaster in Modern Arnis. I use it as a whole as my martial arts thing. And let me talk how this happened so we're on the same page, because people will say, well, you claim to be a grandmaster. I don't claim anything. Mm-hmm. In 2007, which Janice thinks that's why I bought the 07 Mustang. In 2007 in the Philippines, Ernesto Praces told me to come and to camp. And I've known Ernesto since at least 99, maybe 98. I've been doing Kombatan ever since I met him. Mm-hmm. I was the one that got the brothers to talk again when they thought Ernesto was going to pass away in the hospital.
You should tell that story at some other time too, by the way.
But when I went to the Philippines, Ernesto said, just get here and I'll take care of everything else. So I flew to the Philippines. He took care of my hotel. He took care of the camp. He took care of everything. Am I going to like this? Not necessarily. I see Datu in other systems now.
That was after, though, right? Or was Remy the first? He was the first that I knew of, but I can't swear on that.
Yeah, well, there's also people misinterpreting an award for a title.
Right.
But, we can get into that one. You know, we are going to do a show on Datu.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I've done shows on Datu, but we didn't do the live. It was all the pre-recorded stuff. So I would like to have something that we could talk about and people can interact on the show. But you can look at the show I did at Datu's Corner on what a modernist Datu is.
Will we also get to the name he gave me, Datai?
Datai. Well, we can do a show just on that.
There you go.
So when I went to the Philippines, you know, I said Ernesto took care of everything, so I didn't pay a dime after I got there, you know, and he promoted me in his system to 9th degree in Grandmaster.
So, and just to be clear, did you ask for that? Did he do that without on his own? And surprised you? How did that come about?
So I knew it was happening because they said, "You come to the Philippines and I will promote you."
Ah,
okay, all right.
That was their offer, right?
Yeah, they said. That was my invitation.
Yeah. Okay.
And I said, all you have to do is buy a ticket to get here. So someone made a comment about how much I paid for my rank. Now this is okay. Now, so I flew to Manila. They flew me down to Negros.
Oh, nice.
I spent the week I only spent 1 week at the camp. So they fed me every day. And anyone who's been around me, that's a huge expense just by itself.
There you go.
I bought the beer. Okay. I bought the Red Horse while we were there.
There you go.
I bought souvenirs while I was there, but I didn't have to pay for the training. I didn't have to pay for the promotions. I didn't have to pay to get inducted into the Filipino Hall of Fame. I didn't have to pay for the custom uniforms he had made for me. I didn't have to pay for the portable dojo he gave me with like 10 pairs of sticks, training knives, dulos, and a staff. Gave me all this stuff, as well as promoted me. And he goes to me, Tim, I cannot promote you in my brother's art, but I can promote you in mine. Mm-hmm. So, let me see here. You bought candy for little. Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, I did buy candy for the kids.
I would say that there's one thing that sort of goes unspoken. There is a payment there, and that is blood and sweat and tears and training and time and all that good stuff, right? So, in that sense,
and I've been doing that for decades.
Right.
But he made a point here, and this is one that I want to make sure. And I think there's several people who are carrying the title of Modern Ernie's Grandmaster who've been given it recently, and I'm going to name their names, or at least one of the names that I think is worthy of the title Grandmaster, but not for Modern Ernie's. Mm-hmm. Ernesto made a point to tell me that he couldn't promote me in his brother's arts. Now, this was 2007. Remy was effectively out of commission in 2000. 2001, he passed away. 6 years later, he wouldn't cross that line because he had too much love and respect for his brother.
Right.
Now we see people saying and endorsing Roberto as the leading authority on Remy's art. Well, if Ernesto wouldn't cross the line to promote Modern Ace, I don't see how Ernesto would have done that. I see him signing off on diplomas that people are bringing in front of him. But he was very particular, and I think you were in the room the one time we asked this. Because Ty and I and others have gone to visit Roberto every time we've gone to the Philippines. We make a point of going down, visiting Remy and Ernesto's grave, and spending time with Roberto. And we've talked about people who've been promoted, and because he has his own system of Negran and Istamano.
Right. Well, all of that is paying respect to the family and the brothers, and I think that's all good.
Right. And when it came time for me to be taken to Remy's grave, it was Roberto who took me there. They made a point that the family said Tim goes first, and we will all visit later. But Tim needs to go by himself. So it was Rick Manglanong, Roberto Precis, and our driver. And but over the years, we've gone there, and Roberto's been very specific. He will not promote people in his system that haven't trained with him.
Fair enough.
I mean, you were there. We've talked about it.
I remember. Yep. He made us members of his organization, which was fine. But yeah.
I've got my card.
Yep, I got my card.
Oh, and we've talked. And like I said, the last time we were there, we ended up doing a demo for him and stuff.
Yep.
Had a good time. I'll have to actually pull that footage out. It was really good.
He really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I just wish the clothesline was like a foot taller so I wouldn't have hitting
There
that.
you go.
But so you know, I look at him as Ernesto was the authority on Combatan. Roberto was the authority on Henegran Arnis Mano.
Mhm.
Remy was the founder and creator of Modern Arnis.
Mhm.
And what I'm going to point this out is there's a lot of things that are going on. It goes back with this show too, as far as the other show we talked about Filipinos or non-Filipinos can't run things. So Remy's will has come out lately, as of late. Again, it's resurfaced, and unfortunately, in its entirety, which I think is in poor taste about the personal aspects of the art where the money was going. But the important thing for us is that Remy's martial arts section of the will was put out there,
Right, and he had a bunch of names.
none of which were family members.
Right.
He willed Remy's estate, his financial assets were willed to his children. His martial arts were willed to us, his martial children, not his blood. It's not his brother.
You were in the list. I wasn't, but yes.
I was not. Yes. Okay. So, and we'll talk about that, but not today. So most of the people who were in the will were Westerners. There was 2 Filipinos, which I assume the one's name was the proper name of Shashir. I don't know, but in a college, Bezier or something in a college.
Can't remember, yeah.
And Roland Dantes. Those were the only 2 Filipinos. Well, no, I'm not going to say it's the only 2 people of Filipino descent. The only 2 people from the Philippines, and then there was 2 in Europe, and the rest were here in the States. And since the organization was based here, it made sense that we would be the bulk of who would run the organization.
Sure.
The Filipino grandmasters were not part of this list. It was just Shashir and Roland Dantes. The brothers were not part of this list. Like I said, none of the family was in the will to take over the system. And this was a will Remy had worked on for years. What do I know about? Tom Bolden left the art. He quit around 93.
Quit modern Arnis proper.
Yeah. My only issue with Tom is when he left to teach Ponce Eskrima. I wish he would have done it on Ponce Eskrima's name and not use Remy's name by calling it American Modernist Associates. Because if he left to teach Ponce Eskrima, why would you use Remy's name? That's the issue I have with Tom. Tom's always been nice to me, but that's okay.
Wow, Dave Foggy. Foggy.
Do you guys got any corporation? Well, I mean, we have a corporation.
No, so he says that, it says, do you guys got any corporation, especially it's one system? I'm not sure what that question is.
If you can rephrase that portion, that would be great. And my brother from another mother. Hello, David. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. So, like I said, Roland Dante's role would have probably been as more of a kuya, big brother. We were all supposed to form a corporation, create a board, do this together as equals, vote on things. The will was never executed. That's another topic for another time. But the thing here is, a protocol was established a long time ago. There was only one grandmaster. Ernesto promoted to grandmaster, and I was one of those people. And my grandmaster, I use it for my praeses. I use it in Combatan, obviously, but I don't use it for modern because, in my opinion, there was only one. And the only way I would wear that title, there's 2 ways that I can think about. If all the first generation students were gone, which we're really close to that now, as far as a lot of them are here, but they're not doing anything. And, teaching in a backyard to me, or having one school or a training group here is just not it. I'm talking, we're going to talk more portions of this thing, but thank you. And why is time mic bigger than yours?
No, his mic is way bigger than mine. It's that thing on the side, that shield. Yep.
Yeah, what's the size of the Schwartz?
There you go. That's funny, Renee.
I love Renee.
Nice.
I can say something inappropriate right now. What's David got for us?
I'll read it if you want. David says, very true. This was one of the reasons Professor Remy flew Guru Roland from Melbourne to Canada to discuss what his wishes were for modern Arnis. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, listen, Remy had a will. It was worked on for years. Started with David Pajak, then Brett Salafia, and then eventually finally Kevin Black.
Right.
And, Remy didn't name a grandmaster in that either.
Nope.
Now, so when it comes to modern Arnis grandmasters, like I said, what would I do? Well, okay, I'd have to be the first generation that's really doing anything, or the community got behind me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, my GM title doesn't come from modern. I'll be the first to tell people that. Because I feel that is vacant. So now what do I say? I'm going to just head this off. What do I think about the Grandmaster promotions that have gone on? I go, none of them are legitimate. But let me point out, I'm going to point two of these out here. I'm going to start off with who I think these two people are deserving of being a Grandmaster. Actually, I think there's several names that are deserving of being a Grandmaster, but not in the art of modern Arnis. Because to me, the pinnacle position is Grandmaster. Lately I'm pushing the Datu more than anything else because the way people are handing out GM titles. And I think that actually in some ways it's worth more. But if we're talking the position of Grandmaster in modern Arnis, there should be only one. I'd be willing to discuss I would entertain the discussion of, someone said, Tim, we need to have 3 GMs. Okay, where are you saying? We need one in the Philippines, we need one in Europe, and one in the Americas, because you have North, South, and Central. Mm-hmm. Okay, I would be willing to have that discussion. That discussion could make, to me, that discussion makes sense. Mm-hmm. But people are giving out the GM title in modern Arnis when modern Arnis never did that. That was Kombatan. And now I'm hearing that people are getting it 7th degree black belt. Mm-hmm. And if I'm got it right, Earl Tullis was the most recent one through the IMAF. But if that's the truth, then that's a DKI platform. That's not a modern Arnis thing. That's a George Dillman thing. If we're talking doing Remy's art, if we're supposed to be doing Remy's art and all the things that Remy did, then why are you handing out titles that he never would have given out? And who said that anything like Master Tappy Tappy supersedes rank? No, bullshit. That's why Remy gave 5th degree black belts.
In your sound.
I think stuff going on over there. And you are I'm having a very poor signal. I don't know if it's you or me.
From this end, it's you, but I don't know what other people are saying. Maybe they can let us know.
Now we're back up. Okay. Who was that? Was it Ty or me? Let's blame Ty.
There you go. It's probably me.
Okay.
Now you got to focus, though.
So are you.
Oh, okay.
Better now. Okay. Was that the whole show or?
No, just the last minute or two.
Okay. Oh, actually, let me see here.
When we were talking about both of us. Okay, great. Maybe it's the streaming platform. I mean,
could be. Well, okay. Is there a storm down by you?
not by me. There's one in North Carolina. But I mean, so and specifically, let's you were talking about Grandmaster with a rank. The rank is not the problem, right? Per se, just the idea of using Grandmaster at a rank, which we didn't see beforehand. I think that's what you're saying.
It's not our protocol.
I never saw that, but then again,
Remy did not do that.
Didn't see. It certainly wasn't in the list in the ranking structure, right?
Okay. No, yeah, it's definitely not there. Grandmaster was 10th degree.
So what arts do 7th degree at Grandmaster? You said DKI. Does
DKI,
Taekwondo, or is it just
Taekwondo.
DKI? Okay.
Or some branches of Taekwondo.
Okay. And then Ernesto did it at 8th degree, right? Is that right?
Okay, so what Ernesto did is 8th and 9th were Grandmaster.
Okay.
And GGM, Great Grandmaster, was 10th. Now, when Ernesto promoted me, he told me that with the intent to promote me to Grandmaster or to 10th degree. But that never happened because the year he was supposed to do it, he passed away months before that happened.
Okay. What about SGM?
You had to throw that out there, didn't you?
I had to, yes.
Go ahead. Why don't you tell the story? You don't have to use the name, but you can tell the story.
So I'll tell the story. I'm not a very good storyteller, guys, or I apologize already. But over in the Philippines, we're visiting a well-respected grandmaster, and he's sharing thoughts with us, which is a lot of fun. And he makes a comment about, hey, how come all these people are SGMs and I'm a grandmaster? How do they outrank me and they're my students? And then he had some other comments, but he did say another one. Should I say it? I guess so.
Go ahead.
His point was SGM, you could say, is stupid grandmaster. That's his words. And we were joking, behind the lines. People do. So I'm not going to say any names. It doesn't really matter. But the idea was that, hey, I'm a longtime person. How are my students outranking me with SGM when they're still my juniors in all of the ways, not just time or rank?
Well, here's a funny one. Then he goes, this is the best part. He goes, yeah, I don't care. They can say whatever the hell they want. As long as they buy the rattan from me, what do I care?
Here's that, yes. Yep.
That was hilarious. But he referred to a few people that shocked me.
He did.
Which was like, okay, I can't believe you just said that.
Right.
But hey,
he's a funny, irreverent guy too. He could be saying that about you, or poking fun at me too. It's fun.
Yeah. I mean, he's good peeps. So.
Yep.
All right. All right. So, what are some of the requirements? Okay. So, here's what I'm going to say. Since I already said, I think that the position of Grandmaster is still open in modern Arnis. It's a vacant title.
We kind of have two discussions. What would make a grandmaster in modern Arnis, and then part of that is exposed, or at least from my perspective, what is a grandmaster to us, to you, right, to me? And I think it's maybe we're slightly different, but I think we're on the same page.
Yeah, but before we go there, I want to give a shout out to two people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Your show.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to two people.
Right.
When it comes to this, so first of all, when it comes to grandmasters, I just sat there and said that it's a vacant position. Okay. And as of late, there's a whole bunch of people who've been promoted to grandmaster in modern Arnis.
Right.
Which I don't acknowledge those. Now, but here's what I'm going to say. I look at two of the promotions where people they merit. Okay, so I think, because someone's going to get butthurt and say something right off the bat. Kelly Warden has mad skills. If there's anyone out there that should be a grandmaster, it's Kelly Warden. For what he does with his NSI and Renegade JKD, and how he's got students and grand students. He's international. He's been in magazines, books, videos galore. There's no question that he is deserving of a grandmaster, but not in modern Arnis. because he doesn't promote Modern Arnis as it. It's not anything negative about Kelly Worden, but if we're going to have a grandmaster of Modern Arnis, then that needs to be their focus. Like I said, I think he's huge. He's got mad skills. He's got to check in all the boxes that someone would be a grandmaster. He's walking his own walk. Okay, he's got his own path. He's got his own expression. Modern Arnis is part of what he does, but it is not the banner he's flying. And if we're going to have a GM in Modern Arnis, it needs to be waving Remy's banner. Because why? Okay, what good would it do to promote him to Modern Arnis Grandmaster if he's not going to be promoting the art by name? If he's not leading the troops, if he's not expanding the art of Modern Arnis. And I'm not saying anything bad about it. I'm just, and this is our opinion, how we feel about things. Once again, GM of NSI, by all means, he's got all the right checks and all the boxes are checked.
Absolutely. Do any of these people do Modern Arnis?
Specifically, no. My knowledge, and then we would talk to Chad Doolin, who's been to the camps, one of our guys who goes up and teaches at that event.
Yep.
Listen, anyone who watches you watch Kelly's videos, you watch his YouTube stuff, you'd be blind not to see the Modern Arnis in the curriculum. He uses Modern Arnis as a glue for a lot of his techniques.
Yep.
But he's not teaching it as he's teaching it as a synthesis. Renegade JKD, Jeet Kune Do. You have this core concept, and Modern Arnis is one of the many things that are part of that mixing bowl. Well, I mean, if anyone, we'll talk about that in a minute. The problem with that one was that people took advantage of Remy's health, and Remy didn't. None of us thought Remy was ill. Okay, so let me give one more, then we'll look at that one. While Ty is reading that. The other one I want to give a shout out to is Dieter Kanoodle. I think once again, Dieter is another guy who has all the boxes checked to be a grandmaster. What do you think about that?
I think that's easy. That's an easy put. He's got great grandkids if you want to go that far, and maybe even deeper. And so does Datu Kelly as well.
But I don't think of Modern Arnis. Here's the thing. You can take Filipino food, Japanese food, Chinese food. They all have the same elements. They're all going to have rice in it. They're going to have different things. But each type of food has its own flavor. Now, he built his program on Ernesto's program. Now, they'll say, it was Modern Arnis. No, that was the name Remy or Ernesto was using at the time, which he eventually changed the name to Combatant. There's a different vibe there. It just doesn't feel the same way. Like I said, you can look at multiple Asian countries cooking food. They're all using the same elements, but they're making complete different presentations. One may feature the rice. One may feature meat or fish. Others might be spicy, maybe a little more bland. Another one, I mean, there's or if you listen to music, you know what? You've got rock, you've got jazz, you got country. They're all playing the same notes, but there's a different vibe to all that stuff.
Well, let me ask the backwards question of that, right? So a reasonable question to ask that some people might do when they hear that is to go, wait a second. At what point does one actually then become, if they shift, right? And then, a country music person goes over and plays rock, right? Metal rock, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. At one point, do they end up being that metal person? After how long? After what results, etc. So you could ask that question the other direction, right?
Well, you'd have to go all in. You'd have to do the vibe. You'd have to work with people in the industry. I mean, we know that there's, like in music, there's people who've done crossover left and right.
Right.
Shania Twain was one that was country, and then she kind of went over mainstream.
Right.
You know, it's kind of fun. Like Metallica was hardcore, like Ride the Lightning and stuff like that, Master of Puppets, and then they started moving in a certain direction. But I think what happened is their music went to the left, Main Street went to the right, and they crossed paths and went down the same path for a while. And I
was
still
use other examples, but then I think people would not get my taste in music. Violent Femmes used to be Christian rock, and then they became something else.
You know, I think, but I mean, it's just
other
like,
way around.
You know, it's like a fusion. You know, I think. Listen, there's people. Okay, you know, you want to go to a good Chinese restaurant in New York City, it's going to have a lot of Mexicans working there. Because that's what's happening right now, and you know, a lot of my people are like, like when the pandemic happened, they're saying, oh, we don't want to be near them. I'm like, and my friends out there's like, no, the Chinese own the place; they're not running the place. You know, well, okay, you know, people can be. You can have a Mexican or Puerto Rican or fill in the blanks that can become a very good Chinese chef or a Japanese chef or an Italian chef. You know, if you embrace and go all in. You know, I just, you know, when I'm watching Dieter and his people, they're close. You know, it's just, they're similar. It's just, they're playing the same notes, but they're playing it a different way. But I truly believe and I acknowledge and recognize Dieter as a grandmaster. You know, I don't think calling him a grandmaster is an insult to anybody. I just don't have to say. I'm going to see Renee's first because I think he's signing off.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you for the show, he says. Ty, hope we meet someday. Yeah, absolutely, Renee. Tim, hope to see you soon again. Even though I don't train modern East, we can all agree that Carol Baskin killed her husband. Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Catch you later, Renee.
Good night.
All right.
Did you show that other one from Facebook user?
Are we ready?
Well, it fits in, and
well, I just want to make sure I wanted to get that point out before I say this.
Right.
So when it comes to modern Arnis, I don't think I really got to. Okay, I really have a problem as of late with all these grandmaster titles. You got all these people that are being grandmasters of modern Arnis, but it's like pretty soon there's not going to be any students. They're all going to be GMs. What's the point? And the grandmaster is the grandmaster.
Grand as in top?
As in top, as in number one.
Yep.
And I don't believe a silly title like Master of Tappy Tappy supersedes anything.
Right. Well, it depends. I mean, so, you know, I already warned people I am old school and grandmaster being top. And so that kind of colors how I'm going to look at all this stuff. Well, but again, I also said that, you know, whatever your ranking structure is, it fits within whatever that ranking structure is.
Well, let's put it this way. You think, okay, Remy was the grandmaster, right?
Right.
So the big thing was the Masters of Tappy Tappy claimed to be that they're, well, and I'm doing a show. My next show is going to be about what happened in Germany from my point of view, because I was the only American there when Remy got diagnosed. The rest showed up after I left.
I was going to say, you were already there when that happened.
I was there teaching with him. Well, I was there to teach with him when he got diagnosed. Okay. I was in the room when the doctor said, you're going to die. Needless to say, I cried my freaking eyes out, but we'll get into that another time. But here's the deal. Remy was the grandmaster. Do you honestly believe he promoted people above him?
No, I don't think anybody believes that, though. Right.
But, so I created the Masters of Tappy Tappy to supersede myself. You know, I mean, I'm the grandmaster.
If you take the words at those face value, right, then you have to go there.
Yeah. The other thing I have an issue is, especially with one of the grandmasters saying that modern Arnis no longer expresses what they do, and then what's the point of being a grandmaster of modern Arnis? But, you know, I just right now, like I said, I will acknowledge, and in the Philippines, Riddell de Guck being a grandmaster of Das makes perfect sense to me.
Sure.
Renee Tungsten, GM of Tres Puntas, makes perfect sense to me. Looking at Dieter as the GM of DM or DAV Arnis makes perfect sense to me. Kelly Warden being the grandmaster of NSI and Renegade JKD makes perfect sense to me. In modern Arnis, the title is still vacant because no one if Ernesto said he didn't have the authority, there's no way Roberto would have the authority. Roberto wouldn't promote someone to promote people and rank in his system unless they've trained there. And some of these people that they've got diplomas on, well, he's never trained with them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I went on a rant, but I wanted to make sure that, well, no, because someone's going to, you know what's going to happen? Some whining little baby's going to go run into Kelly, say, you need to listen to the show. And Tim said bad things about you. Then I'm going to have to deal with a phone call and tell him to shut up because he's going to go, listen to what I said. And then, or did you watch the damn show?
And, did you say anything bad about Kelly? I don't think you did.
No, but someone's going to go run into him. Mm-hmm. And you know how a lot of people shoot first and then ask questions later. So, he may not listen to the show to hear what I said. He may just call me up on the phone and saying, "What the hell are you doing talking?" We've had
the world has made an art form of getting offended.
Kelly and I have had several phone calls like that, and when he called me up and we talked, it's like, "Well, it sounds like we're on the same page." Okay, great, thanks. But there's always some whining little baby trying to cause trouble. So, like I said, Kelly Warden, mad skills. Dieter Kanoodle's done all the things that he needs to do to be a GM.
Yep.
But if we're talking Remy's protocol was there was only one. Mm-hmm. And unless we get behind someone.
That would be my ideal.
Yeah. So let's put this up. Boom.
So Facebook user says, whoever, and I hope that's not their real name. I don't know why in Philippines anyone can become a grandmaster and establish his own Arnis, Eskrima, Kali system easily. I was there many times and I was shocked in Luneta Park. Luneta Park, everyone there is a grandmaster. It's more like business than science and knowledge and tradition. What a shame. Well, I think that kind of highlights, right? Grandmaster means different thing to different people. So we told you that I'm a old school. Datu's told you what he thinks about grandmaster. Some people look at it as more like Bobby had a great interview where he's talking about grandmaster as sort of like the grandmaster of chess, right? So you get to a certain skill level. That if that makes you grandmaster, that's cool. I mean, there's a lot of ways looking at it. I'm just using the touchstone of what our founder did. But yes, I hear you. I mean, everybody in Luneta Park, and especially if you're talking to Luneta at night, it could be a little special. That was a strange sound, Tim.
Oh my goodness.
That's a good one from Joe. Joe, you.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, Joe Doris.
It's true. I mean, he taught in the schools and the university, and he earned that professorship for that. I mean, I was a professor at university. I don't go by professor because I didn't do it in martial arts, but he did. That's awesome.
I think professor was a better thing for Remy.
Yep.
Because it was less intimidating. People were more likely to approach him.
It's about the sharing and the learn. Yeah. He had a mission, and he did it.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Jeremy, so good question. What are the Datus supposed to do with titles now, or their titles? Well, I think Tim said he's just going to make everybody a Datu. That's what I thought I heard him say.
Yeah, I'm going to make everybody a Datu.
That's exactly what he's not doing, everybody. That's why I'm poking at him.
Yeah. There's a group giving out Datu titles that were never Datus. I have a problem with that. Go figure. I got lots of problems. Once again, it's, well, okay, so somebody wanted to be a Datu. Somebody who has a bunch of titles. One of the Modern East Grandmasters, actually. And he was talking to one of us, and the comment came up to him, so-and-so, where's your tribe? Okay.
If you take the root meaning, one of the root meanings of the word, yeah.
Tribal leader. Now, I say, everyone knows out there I put a lot of emphasis on Datu because culturally speaking, it's the chief of the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a last-minute made-up title. It's not in. I mean, it's culturally there. Okay. I don't believe that there were supposed to be 10 of us, but if once again we're going to give out the title to somebody, especially some of the people that were going for it or received it after Remy passed away. Remy knew someone for 20 years. If he wanted them to be Datus, he would have promoted them. If anyone should have done the Datu title, should have been us. But I'm going off on the tangent that got me derailed again. So I hate.
I'll read it.
I love my setup, but unfortunately, my microphone, my speaker and stuff is right in the way here.
I'll read it. So Tom Carnes again. He's got a nice. Let's see. I haven't read it, so I'll read it while you guys are reading. The way I was told, instructor or black belt could teach. There was junior, senior, and full instructor. However, master to me meant more. You had time private. Others did not, and you were given a degree like college. It was personal. Now there were also junior, senior, and full master. As for grandmaster, that was founder and one who he saw to carry on. This is just how it was trained in my understanding. So that's sort of the same page, yeah.
So, tribe. You need to have a tribe. Okay, so we need to have a group. And if you're going to be a grandmaster, I think that's more important than anything else. I mean,
well, you got to have a far-reaching one, right? I mean, it's the whole darn system.
Well, the other thing too is you need to be promoting the art. I mean, okay, so let's talk about this. So this is the thing that annoys the hell out of me. Terrell reached out a while back, asked about who's the oldest active black belt of Remy's, and I think I said, well, who's doing seminars? I go, well, that would be Bruce Jutnick.
Mm-hmm.
But when he teaches, he's doing more of a modern Kabbalah Eskrima, a modern Serrata blend, because he was a student of both Remy Pracis and Angel Kabbalahs. Right. What an amazing duo there! I mean, that's amazing, and my God, he is a wealth of knowledge. Oh my God, walking encyclopedia,
and very approachable and inclusive.
Although the first time we met, we didn't like each other at all. Yeah. But it was because he had a bad host here in Buffalo.
Oh, I thought somebody was gonna say this because he had taste.
Yeah, your students are your tribe, but
sure. What's the extent?
Okay, listen, if it's 5 students, it's not worth mentioning. I mean, we're talking about being a leader, like a Datu in an organization. That whole thing, there's got to be something, significant, not, otherwise, why bother with Datu if it was just your students?
Well, and when they're talking Datu, it usually meant, region, regional tribal leader,
Yeah. So, where was I going with this? Okay. So, you need to be promoting the art. So Terrell asked, who's teaching? And I go, well, if you're talking about modern exclusively, I'd say that I'm probably the longest student. So then Dan Anderson chimed in. I'd still teach seminars. And I'm like, so here's the issue I have with that. If we talk about who's doing seminars, I have a different standard than others. So when someone says, well, I do seminars, well, how many seminars do you do? And if it's like one a year, are you really doing seminars? I go, yeah. If you're okay, are you professional because you collect money from your students? Are you professional martial artist because you charge money? What do you think there, Ty?
Are you a professional martial artist because you charge money? I think you can be a professional martial artist without charging, but that's me. And I'm not saying that because I don't think I'm a professional martial artist. I think I'm very committed, but I don't think I'm a professional martial artist.
Right.
So but yes, I still think that there could be situations where you're not charging and you could be professional. But that's my take.
No, but just because you're charging, does that make you professional?
One sense of the word, but I'd ask another question, which is, what do you mean by professional? And then I'll tell you.
Yeah, I mean, like, to me, professional, I'm thinking this is your profession.
There you go.
So this has been my Modern Arnis has been my profession since 2000 as a full-time business.
You turned your love into your business, and I think people forget that part because of either how they take you or whatever. But I think no one in their right mind can deny that you love this art.
All right, I'm going to break my rule.
There you go.
I had to. All right.
That was the flesh of your enemies, right?
So here's the thing. Since 91, I've been running 15 classes a week in Modern Arnis. since 91.
Since 91. 15 classes a week. How long are the classes?
Minimum of 1 hour.
So 15 hours, 91. I could do the math. That's like tens of thousands of hours.
Then in 2000, starting in 2000, it was a minimum of 20 classes a week up until today. That excludes seminars and training camps.
Since 2000 what again? I'm just doing the math.
2000.
Okay. 2000 was how much?
20. It's actually 20 plus when you include private lessons and stuff like that. But I
Okay.
average 20 classes a week.
All right.
And that excludes seminars and camps.
All right. So now we're up to almost 30,000 hours teaching. 27 for anybody who's following the math that I was doing real fast. I was ignoring 2 weeks a year, and I got 27,500 teaching.
Now, I started doing seminars in 91. Eric was the first one out of town.
Oh, he was your first?
Out of state. He was.
That's what I mean. That's very cool. Okay.
So and that was in Connecticut. So I'm in Buffalo, New York. So that was a 6.5 hour drive.
Right.
Huge snowstorm on the way home.
You remember like it was yesterday.
Yeah. Went from 70 miles an hour down to 10.
Been there.
Ron Merson was there. Oh, of course I remember that one because, Eric's daughter slept walk and ended up sitting on my lap.
He thought that was so cool. You remembered that story.
Cute kid. Couldn't have been his child. No. Just joking.
He's a pretty handsome young man.
Actually, he was very, got a Denzel vibe to him, but not like Denzel. But, and he could wear that Fu Manchu mustache better than anyone else I do.
That's right. And something about him, you knew he was just fast. But anyway, we're digressing.
So from about 90, so 91 to 95, I was doing 5 seminars, probably 5 to 6 seminars a year. And then 95 on, I was doing 15 seminars a year, teaching them, including going to Europe and going into new countries that Professor wasn't teaching in. I went back. Right. Professor did a seminar in Sweden. I went back. I was making new connections with the Kempo communities, which was the Speakman organization and members of that. If Professor would have been around a little longer, healthy-wise, there would have been a huge European explosion. I made connections all throughout Denmark, through the Kempo community first, then into the Filipino community.
He never went to Iceland, right? Did he?
No, he didn't.
But you did, yeah.
I taught the first FMA seminar ever in Iceland. Matter of fact, I don't know if there's been one since. But I brought Filipino martial arts to Iceland, and hopefully they're still practicing.
They should have it down by now.
Yeah, they should know the 12 angles by now.
That's right.
So, but these are the things. And since 2000 until today, I've because I've still got seminars in the bank when I say this. I've averaged since 2000 20 seminars and or camps a year.
Wow.
So it's 2021. Now, I am planning on backing off for 2022. I'm only going to do 24 events a year. That's the plan. The hybrid seminars here in Buffalo, and then one on the road. Now, of course, that's thrown out the window next month because we're going to visit Bobby. And then the very next week, I'm in Texas. But I was trying to stay home. So the first one doesn't count because that is personal development. That's me going out, having a good time, doing an ambassadorial thing. But, oh, yeah, Rich is now a Datu now. Good. Nice to know you. Rich, you can kiss my butt. Or no, you're not a Datu now. Yay. I am not a Datu now. Okay. All right. That's what happens when I read it too fast.
Yep.
So, So I think the thing, I mean, like, okay, you need to be out there spreading the art. I mean, okay, if you're going to be the grandmaster, you need, boom, you're grandmaster. You know the art inside and out, all aspects of it. But you should have had that by the time you were a master.
Right. Right.
So now you're the grandmaster. What are you doing? You are bringing the community up. You are raising them. You are out there spreading the word into new regions, going back to the people in the trenches and helping them take it to the next level. From we're no longer getting the point where people are pushing you up. You're pulling them up now. That is your role. Very much like we're doing in our organization. So when we talk about seminars, because I went a little crazy there. So when we talked about the seminar numbers and stuff like that, when Dan made the comment, well, I do seminars for Modern Arnis. What does Dan do? Like one, maybe two seminars a year in Modern? I don't. Besides, he did this camp. Okay, this is the first thing he's done since COVID. So I don't know what he's done since or prior to that. But prior, he was over in Germany and all this other things. You can say, hey, look, here's all the things I've done. But how many is that a year? Mm-hmm. If you do one event a year, is that really doing seminars? Yes, if you can sit there and say, yeah, I keep my hand in it. I like to get out like once or twice a year just to see people and stuff. But is that having any impact? I think if you're going to be a GM, you need to be in the trenches and having an impact on the troops. I need to be,
in far-reaching ways too. I mean, so that's a good perspective. So let's see, in the last 8 years myself, I've done almost 90 seminars, and I am not claiming grandmaster. Of course, obviously I never would, but if I can do that at whatever level I'm at and try to do my piece right, and that's what 10 plus a year on average, let alone whatever I did before that.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
I look at all these grandmasters. Okay, so I look at all these people. At least let's talk about just the stateside ones. Mm-hmm. Okay, we already said Kelly checks all the boxes. Mm-hmm. Okay, done. So he's off the table. He's already boom. Mm-hmm. But I look at all these other people, and I'm like, Modern Arnis doesn't really represent what I do anymore, so I don't like using the name. But yes, I'm going to wear the title. I've got a small group in my basement. I teach one school. I do a seminar once a year, or I host my own seminar once a year, or maybe twice a year. Is that really what the Grandmaster needs to do? Or does the Grandmaster need to be going out to events like Terry Dow's Martial Arts Symposium, where there's multiple things, the Renaissance Martial Arts Festival that we've both been at, the Saratoga Martial Arts Festival that we've both been at, your Spring Fling, which brings people out from nowhere, the Chrysostomos event that brings people out of nowhere. We've gone to Bobby's camp. We've gone to the late, great Sam Buat's event to go teaching there. I mean, when I'm out and about seeing all these events, you know who I don't see at all these events? My Modern Arnis brothers and sisters. They're nowhere to be found.
Well, just to be fair, I mean, I actually you didn't know this, but actually, I asked the person who said that I was also bothered by the thing about, hey, Modern Arnis doesn't represent what I do anymore, and I asked him about that, and he said he didn't remember saying that, and he actually didn't like that. So either it was in a context he didn't remember or something, but he said he didn't sound like him. Just to be fair, I'm being honest here and fair, is that, hey, I did call him on that. And
you should show him you should show him what he wrote.
I would have to send it to him, yeah. But I did call him on it, and he, private conversation basically recanted. If that's what he said, he didn't mean to say that. Now, I'm not saying that it gives him any outs, but I'm saying I did call him on that. And I thought that should be thrown out there. So it's kind of funny. We both brought it up separately.
The only third generation student I run into is in the same organization. Okay.
The only third. Oh, right.
Yeah. So he trains with them.
Right.
Well, they're training brothers.
Right.
That's convenient that he forgot about all that.
Well, yeah, I just remember I told him about the phrase, and I said that bothered me. So what was the deal with that?
Yeah. Well.
Because I mean, for all of us doing modern ace, and it's in core of what we do, and even if you're doing things, even if it's not, even if it's 10 times a year or one time a year, modern got us here.
Yeah.
Modern ace got us here, and
Oh, yeah.
and that should be important. That's how I took it. But let's see. So when you're describing the leader and the bringing people up and all that kind of good stuff, that reminded me of our good friend, Bobby Tabuada, right? He's a perfect example as well. Not in modern, but it's just an outside example of somebody who fits the bill as a more recent generation, as still certainly inarguably a grandmaster of his art.
Well, let's use him as an example because it's been I've been controversial again as of late, behind the scenes stuff, being blamed for stuff that I didn't do as usual. Go figure. So here's the deal. Bobby has his program. It doesn't represent all of Balintawak because there are multiple branches of the tree. Some do not.
You'll have to share that post. There you go. Good for you.
Right. And it should. Hey, hopefully you'll be at Frank's seminar. Since we'll be out your way, you can come down to the Triple Threat Modern East seminar in Connecticut, right, Joe? Versus being 20 minutes from my house and not saying hello.
Dope.
Oh, I'm never gonna let that go. Unless he gives me some cool ass footage, and then I'll partially let it go. But
that's one piece is where a grandmaster makes sense because they have a huge piece, and they're doing all of the good things we said, and it fits, right?
And Joe said he'll be there. Yeah,
there you go.
So, okay, Bobby. Bobby is. You can say what you want about Bobby. Okay, okay, it doesn't represent my branch of Balintawak.
Right.
And I hang around Bobby because he was good friends with Remy. He had a lot of respect for Ted Buat, my teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm curious on how the other half lives, i.e. the group methodology,
mm-hmm.
and I look at a lot of things there. I think it's cool stuff. It's not exactly what I do. I don't even know how to take that.
I don't know how to take that either.
But say what you will about Bobby and how accurate or inaccurate or whatever. He is the ambassador of Balintawak. Hands down. Don't you guys like it? I like everybody.
Who did we say we didn't like?
Yeah, tell me who you're talking about, because right now I love Bobby. That's why we're going down to his birthday camp.
Or unless he was saying, do we not like anybody as Grandmaster of Modern? And I already told people my stance, which was...
Well, okay, yeah. Tony, could you just elaborate more on that? The memory, jeez. Okay.
Oh, hold the memory like a watermelon between your knees. I get it.
Okay, all right. Now, okay.
It's hard to follow these chats sometimes.
Dude, Joe, I'm not that highbrow. Did you see my post today? Did you see my little motivational? Okay, I want to
me.
Yeah, you.
No, I was.
Okay, I'm
working
going to
and falling asleep on the couch.
My thing today. So basically,
is it controversial? I
don't know if it's controversial. It's just one of my motivational Monday things, So it was well. I'll do it the fast way here. It was just I just kind of let something up. That was highbrow. LOL. Oh, just Joe. Just whatever. I still want Tony to elaborate.
Yep.
I don't know how to take that.
Or maybe he's just joking back. We're joking a lot, and so I'm sure people want to joke in, which is cool.
Okay. Oh. Okay. Here we go. I'll get rid of this. Okay. Oh, stop. I don't need that. Oh, good. That's there. Okay. So I will put this up right here. And here's my post. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Gandhi
Okay.
said, whenever you're confronted with an opponent, conquer him with love. I say use a big stick. That's just me. So
if I read Tony's question right, can you consider a master of your system nowadays? I think he's asking. So we talked about Grandmaster and how it didn't fit. Are there people we'd recognize as, or you would recognize? I think you're more important here. Who you'd recognize as master in modern Arnis? I think that might be what he's asking. Not to throw you on the spot here, but maybe. I mean, it's a fair question since we've been talking about everything. Is he gonna?
no, this is my answer.
Oh,
No. Okay. I'm a snob. I'm the first to admit this. So let's put it out this way.
so I got his question right. Yay! I did something right.
A lot of people.
You're just beating the living hell out of people, which is a good thing.
Okay. So,
or you could say you're asking hard questions or saying hard opinions.
So Joe, or not Joe, Tony, it's very hard. Okay, people outside my organization, it's very hard. My group, there's a lot of like-minded individuals. We work very hard together as a team. I really don't like a lot of the people out there. Hell, oh my goodness! Hello, hey, Maul, we got you. You need to meet this guy. This guy Ty.
There you go.
And I love you, brother. We got to get you all together, and
Selamat datang, Maul.
Well, yeah, he used to live in Malaysia too, so he probably needs some practice. I don't need any practice on my Malay because I don't speak it. I'm not going to practice anything. I just don't do it. Oh, look at that, man. He liked that. Boom.
I just said welcome.
He liked it. Okay. So listen. So Tony, it's a hard question because most people have never committed to the art. So Remy taught to. I have a hard. Ty, how's the art taught?
How was the art taught? I could go. There's a.
You know what I'm saying.
How was the art taught? The art in general for most people was taught as an add-on. Most people were curious. They were taught as concepts, right? Concepts that people could use as they saw fit and make themselves better. It was taught to make people better martial artists using what Remy had to share and his insights and his methods. That's one way to look at it.
Okay. So what I would tell people, because I wanted someone else to say it before I said it.
Okay.
Here's how I explain it. Remy had two programs. The program I learned was how to do Filipino martial arts. But what he taught the masses were how to enhance your primary system with Filipino concepts without compromising said base system.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't teaching people Filipino martial arts. He was teaching them how to enhance what they were already doing with Filipino concepts and material. Most of the people were not Filipino martial artists. Ty and I have gotten this time and time again where they say, there you go, are you guys sure you're modern Arnis people? I go, why? Well, because you're good. Am I lying, Ty?
Along those lines, yeah. I mean, I was asked once, hey, is this all you do? And I took that as a compliment.
But I mean, haven't you been around other FMA guys and they were kind of surprised after seeing you move? Initially, you said you were a modern guy, then you moved around a little, and all of a sudden it's like a whole nother story.
Yep.
Dr. Leader knew he actually had the opportunity to meet with Jason's father, Sura Mike, and I.
Okay.
And at the seminar, hey, does anyone have any training? He goes, yeah, I'm a student of Remy Praces, or Tim Hartman and Remy Praces. Oh. And then by the end of the seminar, they invited him to come back. But prior to that, he says, once I mentioned modern, I got this vibe like I wasn't welcome.
Right.
Then they saw me move. Because people don't.
Remy wouldn't fix how you move to fit how he moved.
He blended. Okay, so modern Arnis in most cases were a mixed drink.
There you go.
And he was concocting different. He was a mixologist. So what he would do is look at your base and see what he could do. Because like if you were a grappler, he would show you how to implement the locks with the stick, but he didn't teach you locking.
Right.
He showed you how, but not. He didn't. He showed you how. He showed you what, but not how. Right. If you were a striker, he would show you how to implement some of your striking in the locks, controls, and stick work.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't teach you how to strike. He just taught you different applications of striking that fit in this vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't look at there being modern Arnis masters because I learned it in the States or Europe. Modern Arnis, aka Remy Pracis, so we're on that same page. Ernesto's approach was a little more FMA first. They had a different. They you know, he had more people committed to the Europeans. When they do an art, they commit to the art more. Where the States, they were doing karate or taekwondo for 20, 30 years, and they weren't going to turn their back on it.
Most of the Ernesto people I ever saw, if they were in any length of time, they moved certain commonality. And so you could say, you must have learned Komaton or from Ernesto.
But if you're a modern guy, you didn't know what you were looking at. And a lot of people, when people look at it, it's like, well, I remember Dan Lohman, we were in Finland for the super camp for Komaton.
Okay. Yep.
He threw a name out at me, and then I had to sit there and say, well, what about this guy? I go, because he did the same thing. Tim, you move really good for a modern guy. I go, well, I move the way modern people are supposed to move. I go, the problem here is, and I told him, the art within your art, how to enhance what you're doing. He's making you a better martial artist using FMA concepts. In most cases, he wasn't teaching you to be a Filipino martial artist. He was teaching you to be a better martial artist overall. So, and I'm not trying to be a jerk, Tony. This is the way I feel. And you know what? I'm allowed my opinion and I'm allowed my feelings. Whether they're justifiable or not, don't know.
Actually, I'm going to throw one thing out there. It occurred to me. Oh, so Jeremy said he can see a big difference. It's true. That's what stances is one of the indicators for sure. But I'm going to throw one thing out there is that I think people sometimes confuse your opinions with the overall stance of WMA as a organizational, like pot shots or whatever like that. It's like, I think it's pretty easy to separate the two, but maybe I'm in a minority. I know there's Tim the man with opinions and preferences, right? And when you speak of those, maybe it's hard for people to separate what you say as Tim and what you say as WMAA, Pracis Arnis, all of that good stuff. Just a thought.
Well, so I chimed in on Dean Franco's show the other day. I think it was Dean's with Paulo being on, talking about this. And then Paulo goes, Tim Hartman, perfect example. This is a guy who's very polarizing. You either like him or you don't.
I don't like him.
But I don't blame you. But I'm a straight talker, Right. And listen, my father was military and law enforcement. My first job I ever had was done by an ex-military guy. I was brought up rough around the edges. I wasn't none of this touchy-feely kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I've had too many times that we've had to you try to be so nice not to offend anybody, and the message is lost.
Yep.
I remember having teachers I'd make teachers being vague in school. They'd make some comment. Well, if people aren't going to get this, you're going to have to do this, and it's going to take us longer. And then, of course, what would happen? The students that were doing everything right would go up to the teacher afterwards. Is it me you're talking about? No, it was Johnny.
Right.
Well, they should have just said, "Hey, Johnny, get your head out of your ass. Right. Get up, pony up, and get this done." So I'm that kind of, and I've had teachers have that same problem in the club here where they made generalized comments. I said, well, don't you have students like this? Yeah. What do you do? Well, eventually I talked to them. I go, you need to talk to this guy. And once everything got fixed.
Right. It doesn't help to say, hey, somebody in the room needs to fix their back foot. Yeah. Then everybody will be checking except for the guy who needs to. So Joe says Remy brought in his own Shotokan background, reference parts of I and H pattern empty hand forms. Yes, absolutely. We've talked about that. Small circle jiu-jitsu from Wally J, absolutely. And other arts he evolved the art as he evolved the arts. Modern eats kept changing and was very different in 95 versus 75. Absolutely. I mean, I saw it just through the 90s and on into the, the next decade.
Every day it was evolving, but if you looked every 5 years, you would see shifts.
Yep.
And then
I enjoyed that actually. I liked seeing him do that and being involved. Tony says, I know there's no easy answers, but thanks for attempting to answer it. So thank you very much. That's why we're here, Tony. We're just talking.
Yeah. I'm not trying to be a jerk on this. So, of course, once again, people can get twisted, but when it's taught as the art within your art, it's hard for me to,
because of what modern Arnis means to you.
Well, okay. I allegedly burnt bridges. No, I stood up for myself and said what I did. And of course, no one tells the bridges. They just used to say, well, I don't want to get into it, but he burnt bridges. Well, no, you do want to get into it because you made a comment. Mm. And can you tell me these bridges? No one can tell you what the bridges are. Well, I can tell you a couple of the bridges, and I will be in a Datu's corner to separate this from the show. But here's one of the things okay. So let's say someone starts in 92. Okay, 92. They're training a system in 92. Okay. So how long do you think it would take for them to become a black belt in modern Arnis?
95, somewhere in there.
95. Okay. So then Remy teaches for 5 more years. And that's so they got 5 years of training, right? Mm-hmm. 5 years as a black belt. Mm-hmm. And then they turn around, Remy gets sick, and try to tell me that they're the experts of the system. In any other system, would anyone even think about it? I mean, I'm surprised. The one guy almost punched in the face when he told me this. Like, dude, you're really telling me that 5 years as a black belt, you know the entire system. And I hate to be that guy because I remember.
Maybe he got it in 94.
Oh, then 6 years would be a whole.
There you go.
All right, there you go.
I'm just saying.
But I mean, so someone who's been a black belt for 5 to 6 years, I don't look at them as being a master in anything. That's a black belt for 5 to 6 years.
Yep.
And then Remy passed away. There's people who were ahead of me. But we know those bridges. That was the same person too that was talking about the whatever, Joe, 4 to 6 years.
Yep.
And then Tony. Okay, thank you.
See, I started, what did I say? So we're on 191, 92 with Eric, and I got my black in 95, I want to say.
Okay.
So, yeah. So that works, Joe.
So we talk about how the Marines brought Ishinru back. Let's think about this. They were there for 8 to 16 months, and they came back, and then Kuya, how you doing? Okay.
¿Cómo está po kayo, sir?
All right. He chimed in on the last show just as we were
did.
reading.
Yep.
So, it's hard for me to look at people who've only master of an art. What kind of years would you have to have in to be considered a master of an art?
20 plus.
Let alone grandmaster?
35 plus.
Yeah. So this is now. Obviously, we have a unique situation where the grandmaster died long before he should have. Mm-hmm. But it is what it is. Depends on how often you saw Remy camps. Yeah. Well,
there's different connections, true. And given that his art was always evolving, and maybe the most recent one, the most recent, maybe the most recent emphases were poured into someone. But still, I get you.
Hey, GM Unyo. So for those who don't know, Fast Foot Unio Lanada is the Grandmaster of Lanada Kuntao, which I am a second-degree black belt in through Cued Mark De Leon.
And I'm an orange belt.
He's an orange belt. Is it orange or is it yellow?
Maybe it's yellow. Yep, sorry. Oh, I promoted myself. There you go.
There you go. I don't think orange exists, so he just made up a new belt. So when we go
that's probably actually perfect then.
There we go. How about the gray belt?
There you go.
Actually, we're going to issue clear belts. That's below white.
So,
but Giamunio, we're gonna visit with you on the next trip. So once the border opens, I'm probably flying over myself to do a little research, and then bring people there.
Mabuti naman.
I say in around 90. Okay. Okay. There we go.
Yep.
He had a tough coach. He had a real tough coach. His father.
I was going to say, it's always worse with fathers, right?
That's Master Carlito Lanada.
Yep. Well, Wally J did that to his son, too. It was, he was a long time in different ranks.
Translucent.
Okay. Translucent is my skin.
Okay. So it's hard for me to look at things when it comes to modern Arnis because a lot of these people did cross training where they really. I don't think most. Listen, Remy when you were a modern Arnis black belt. I always thought about I'm the modern Arnis 1%er, because it's only maybe like 1% of us who actually did modern Arnis as a standalone program. Yeah, so if you're doing that, hey Jackie.
Howdy, Jackie.
If we're talking the 99%, which Jackie was on FMA discussion the other day.
I saw that. It was good. I saw the first third. I haven't made it all the way through that.
So, but if you're the 99 percentile, I can't look at you as a modern Arnis master because you haven't committed to the art. Listen, I know sooner or later, if I keep up with my Kuntao and my Sikaran gradings, I'm going to go up and I might actually have, in Sikaran, there's only the Grandmaster and then there's the Master. There's no other titles. The ninth. So, it was senior and then his younger brother. Now it's the son and his uncle, unless something's changed. Jimmy, Melaton and Jimmy, but I don't know how it is in Kuntao. I haven't really, because I was just working on the system. There's so many different things. There's some things, I've got too many systems in my head when it comes to titles and stuff. I'd rather just work on the material. But sooner or later, I'll probably have that master that master rank, but I don't look at that I've mastered that art. Whatever rank I have, right. It is a secondary or tertiary system for me. To be honest with you, when I did Kuntao and Sikaran, I didn't learn any strikes or blocks that I didn't. I learned a new block, the chicken beak. Okay. But and then I learned the Bia Kid, which is a variation of a spinning hook kick with a hand plant. Other than that, all the material I learned, I already knew from other systems of martial arts. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know the forms, and I didn't know and then I didn't know how they trained it. So that was different. But I still started as a white belt, worked my way up to the systems, and did what I did. But I already had that material. So if all of a sudden the Bia Kid is a spinning hook kick with a hand plant. I already knew how to do spinning hook kick. And the difference is, the big difference is instead of hitting the side of the head, you try to hit the back of the head while it's facing you. So it's actually a hook that goes up and goes pop towards you this way. So it's real, okay. But for all intents and purposes, besides the kick and one block, that's really learning nothing in the big scheme of things, and I learned variations of things on that. So it was learn the new form, because I went in as a GM in something already. Mm-hmm. So, but I wouldn't carry the master title in Kuntao or Sikaran if I had the opportunity, because it wouldn't be a good representation. I didn't do it all on my Kuntao. I became a world Sikaran champion at the last World Championships. Well, you know what? A lot of that was done on my modern Arnis training with Remy.
That's a different Kuntao.
I'm doing so Tom, meet Unio Lanada. Unio, meet Tom Carnes. Unio is the son of Grandmaster Carlito Lanata of Lanata Kuntao with a W. Yours is Indonesian Malaysian, so that's why it's a different title. You guys should talk. Okay, so anyways, so let's start over. Student, just doing the art for yourself, having a good time, supporting the people above you possibly as well.
And everybody at all levels should have that as their baseline, and they should still keep on doing it.
All 4 levels should still be a student.
Yep.
Okay.
Actually, they kind of all build on each other, right? You should all should be 4. The next one should be, you know what I'm saying? They all should be.
Hey, you know what? You know what the GM is? It's an advanced student.
There you go.
There you go. Okay, so teacher. Okay, you are learning to get to the next level of your physical ability, and that could be peaked. As one of our recent black belts just told me today, he cannot continue anymore because of arthritis. You know which one I'm talking about.
Yep.
So he came in today and told me that. I'm like, but his son's going to keep training.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is start developing him as a teacher because he can't physically do it.
He can still help people.
Exactly, because he
and
has
give back.
Yep. Now, mastering the art. You would have to physically master it one time or another, and produce students. You should be doing. When you become a teacher, you're starting to produce students, black belts or whatever the equivalent thereof. But by then, you should have produced students,
you should be, master. I would think you'd have produced students that are teaching.
Yeah.
So you're teaching teachers.
And then grandmaster. Well, you've more than mastered the art. You're out there spreading the art, making a serious impact, not little onesie twosies events here or there. You're developing students. You're bringing the community up. They're not pushing you. You're pulling them. Going into new regions, new countries, developing material, organizing material, working on the curriculum to help think about stuff, looking at stuff like today, we have a new way we're going to be doing the 4th form. So for our group, not to say you can't do the 4th stick form the way you originally learned from Remy, but we're making some fixes, especially that 00 spin that still didn't work. Let me go from there. And then boom.
Except I don't know which part he's talking about, but yes. Good deal, Jesse.
Up at the top of the form.
Okay.
We're going to spin back and stuff. And we also put an extra block in to fix that.
No, I was talking about what Jesse was talking about.
Okay.
Our friend.
But at the end of the day, the GM needs to be out there promoting. And like I said, right now, I think
it's the ultimate, the style shepherd and the
chief of the tribe
planning strategically for the carrying on of the art, right? Okay. So when we rolled up from student, teacher, master, grandmaster, I got it. Gotcha, Jesse. Thanks.
And what are we doing in our group? We're actually showing the next generation how to teach, how to do a proper resume, how to promote their school, all the things. I'm teaching what we do. What are we doing? We're teaching people how to do seminars, how to get their own seminars.
We have to instructor training on how to be an instructor.
Yeah. It's a physical. We have tables set up with notebooks. People come in, they take notes, then they get off their butt, they do some training, go back, do more notes. What's it? I think your ability to learn to others enabled the progress of Lana Kuntam faster due to. Yeah.
No doubt, yeah.
And I'm Superman with gray hair. So, actually, I want to be Deathstroke, but I want to keep both eyes. I'm actually the super badass. That's Race Bannon. He was the ultimate tough guy. If you don't know who Race Bannon is, I'll give you a hit. Look up Johnny Quest. But at the end of the day, the Grandmaster needs to be the one that the community needs to get behind. And so they're okay, all right. But Race Bannon didn't need a utility belt.
That's true.
But listen, the GM needs to lead the group. The GM needs to go into new areas. Eventually, what the GM needs to do is send people out to do that for himself, for them. Knows when to step aside and say, it's your turn. And be that guiding force.
Jeremy, I think, in some ways, everybody is still an apprentice instructor. If you're not learning to better, not your teaching, just the art, you're still, again, getting worse. Johnny Quest, yep.
Short sleeve, okay. So yeah, I think, these are some of the things I think. And recently, there's been a whole bunch of black belt or grandmaster promotions, allocating responsibilities. Yep. There's been a whole bunch of grandmaster promotions, and it's really, you know what? When people don't like what I say, they cry foul.
What do you mean when?
Well, okay, I see anything, they're just going to cry foul. They're going to cry foul because, well, they don't like the truth or they don't like looking wrong.
Or they just don't like your opinion.
Well, here's the thing. We talked about the footwork. We talked about the footwork in the forums. I brought this all out, and one person got his panties twisted. Thank you, Unyo. Because he didn't like, in my opinion, he just felt like he was being singled out saying that he's doing it wrong. I'm trying to, when I share this information, we talked about this earlier in the show, I'm trying to help educate the community free of charge.
Right.
Free of charge. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about the new modern East angles of attack. And everyone's going to get upset. And it's not the new, but it's the new. But we'll talk about that. Just wait for it. It'll be coming out this week. It's a little clickbaity title, but at the end of the day, it'll be a good learning platform. I'm going to talk about how I'm going to do this, the fourth stick form, the way I originally learned it and the way we choose to do it now. Free of charge for the community.
Contribute. Well, there you go. Joe says it all. Yeah. Well, and the other thing people don't realize, and I'm going to go ahead and do it on what I share. So what do I share? I share stuff that is not about me demoing and showing off myself. It's to share, right? So if somebody's going to jump on it and say, hey, that didn't look good, it's not what it's for. It's for teaching. There are different ways to do stuff. And so if you're teaching, you're going to do things maybe more obvious, maybe different, to highlight certain things you want to highlight.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, let's say certain people didn't learn the footwork of the angles of attack.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that's a possibility?
Yeah.
I think it's a probability that many people, because they learned in a seminar format, that they didn't have they worried about, Remy may have focused on the angles and not about the footwork because he only had a limited time.
Well, I can remember countless times at camps people are trying to follow the footwork, but they're reversing it or halfway getting it right, that kind of stuff. So yes, I can tell you that people left the camp with that wrong.
Okay. So if I do a video on this, it's trying to help the community. It's not trying to prove somebody wrong.
Right.
See, that's the problem. People get all twisted and they think I'm trying to single them out. What I'm really trying to do is share information, because a rising tide will raise all ships. And if we have this material and we have this knowledge, we'll be better for it. We'll actually be better martial artists and better respect in the community. So, when we talk about these things, like I said, recently everyone is going, the triangular footwork. Yeah.
Normally, yes, Joe, but oftentimes to illustrate something else, it was.
Well, Remy had gout, and sometimes he would just do weapon side forward and stand and feet angles of attack.
Yep.
And somebody was doing block check counter, and they didn't know the footwork.
Yep.
So they were working on the disarm, and they just stood there and they didn't do it, or maybe they were doing a film, and they were trying to stay in frame, which I've even talked in my videos. Hey, listen, we would normally do it this way. So a lot of times people got it wrong. And we're not trying to point it out that they're wrong because we're trying to point out they're wrong. We're trying to get information out there to help the community.
make sure you're still aware of this, or make sure that you know about that, and use it how you will.
Well, I never learned this. Well, then,
Okay.
Okay, you didn't learn it. The professor must have shown it. You probably just didn't learn it. You gave it back, or you need to train more. Or maybe he would come to your area and you didn't work the material since the last time he was there, and he wasn't going to get to the second level because he had to teach level 1 over again. Because I've seen that a whole bunch of times where,
Yep.
where 4 years in a row we taught the same damn seminar and people still couldn't get the first,
Yep.
What was the last time you trained Arnis? The last time Remy was here? Oh, so a year ago.
Do your work.
So now
I used to get so frustrated with that.
So when I would bring things, I'm going to think. I'm really getting off on a tangent.
Well, so hopefully it seems like we're getting a good involvement with the crowd. So hopefully that means they're not getting distracted by us going off on tangents.
Well, so listen. So my opinion, we would share this information, and both Ty and I have had different people take it negatively when we're trying to share and help. And by no means are we trying to take a shot at anybody when we're putting material out. Sometimes I'm fixing somebody else's mistake because someone did a really crappy job of a demo of something and terrible explanations. And so I decided I'm going to do a video the way it should be done. Okay, because, that's my opinion. But I don't call that person out. I don't go sit there and say that Ty did a terrible job, so I got to redo this.
Well, you call me up afterwards.
Yeah, and actually, what a lot of people don't realize, our videos of material and speeches, Ty and I vet each other quite often, where we'll upload it into. I have a private section in Vimeo. Sometimes what Ty does is he'll send a private video to me on YouTube, and then we'll go from there.
Sharing knowledge is the most fundamental because it is a way you can give something without losing something. Absolutely.
There you go. Well said, sir.
That's one of the best things Remy ever had me do is, hey, you will teach my art. Okay, I guess I will. Best thing, because I cared.
Yeah. So I'm just going to sum this up right now. My opinion on this, which it's my opinion, I'm allowed to feel this way, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my feelings aren't justified, but this is the way I feel. I feel that the Grandmaster position of Modern Arnis is still vacant. Remy was the founder. There could only be one. That's what his protocol was. It really upsets me when people are putting either Ernesto's grading platform or maybe the Dillman grading platform instead, and they say they're doing Remy's art. No, you're doing things that aren't Remy's art. If they want to join me in using the term Praesis Arnis, I'm more than happy to embrace a lot more. But when you specifically say you're doing Remy's system, then we need to use the protocol that Remy did. Now, I'm not saying we don't evolve. What I'm saying is putting things in there that just weren't is another story versus evolution. So I will use the angles of attack because this is part of this. I found a better way to teach the angles of attack for beginners and then advanced. And a lot of the thrusts can throw people off. Mm-hmm. To me, that doesn't change the spirit of Modern Arnis. Mm-hmm. It's a different delivery system. Same thing I did with Combaton. There's the 24 angles of attack. Well, it's not 24 angles of attack. It's really 10. It should have been 30, not 24. But Ernesto did every angle of attack 3 ways: a forehand, a backhand, and then a double. Now, a couple of them he skipped, so he should have had 30, but he had 24. I do a 10x3 matrix, all forehands, all backhands, and all doubles. To me, that doesn't change the spirit of the art. It's just a different platform to get the point across. So, if this is what we're talking about, that's one thing. But when you put things on there, like using the Grandmaster title for everybody and their brother, I'm sorry, that just doesn't do it, especially when the people themselves are not GMs. And nothing was above Grandmaster. I think it's nonsense. I think it's nonsense, and I'm insulted that these people would actually put themselves above Remy, let alone all these people putting on the same tier as Remy. Okay. Dan Anderson, Brian Zolinski, Earl Tullis, the Masters of Tappy Tappy, all of these people out there. How many seminars are you doing out there in the row? How many stuff are you doing out there that Remy was doing? You're really doing 2 seminars a weekend? Last time I checked, most of these organizations are on life support. They took what Remy had, which was a strong international organization, and it's on freaking life support now because of not non-inclusion, exclusivity, alienating people. You've done nothing to retain but to scare people off. And now to accept the titles of Grandmaster and promote people to Grandmasters, I find it as a slap in my face, as well as another bunch of people who were isolated and even told to hand in their own black belt certificates that Remy issued. Like, who the hell are any of you to ask for shit like that? Because we all got the rank from the same damn man. No one was Remy Praces except for Remy Praces. I'm the best Tim Hartman. You're the best Tye Botting. We're all the best us. But I'm sorry. No. Kelly Warden, badass MF. Okay. Grandmaster of NSI all day long. We've already said it. Check all the blocks. Dieter Canoodle, Grandmaster DAV all day long. But I'm going to talk specifically about the Westerners right now, but not in Modern Arnis. There could only be one because that's what Remy had. That's what he wanted. As far as what was his plan, he died before he had to execute. Personally, I think it was very simple. When he offered me the system in Germany, I was the heir apparent. It's a whole nother story. And that'll be on a show very shortly that people can listen to. But at the end of the day, there was no one successor. The way things went down. I find it, like I said, I find it very insulting. Remy was the Grandmaster. That's what he did. And now pretty soon we're going to have all these Grandmasters and just a handful of students. For what? Bullshit. Okay, what's Tom say here?
He says, a lot of that started with a letter I saw. I don't have it. It was so-called Remy giving the art to these. Now those make Grandmaster to keep a money market. I don't know if you can get that letter. I think I showed one to Kelly W. I know many were not happy. There was a press release, but that wasn't from Remy. That was from the people that there were. It was, about themselves.
Yeah. Remy was not in control of his own website, just for the record. He didn't realize the power of the internet before he passed. So, but I'm sorry. Yeah, that's just the way I look at things. And I'm allowed to feel the way I do. I feel that the title, the position of Grandmaster for Modern Arnis is vacant. I don't even put myself there because I know someone's going to cry foul on that one. But yeah. And like I said, this is maybe it's because it's the 20 memorial of Remy's passing. Why I'm so jacked up on this. And next year is the 65th anniversary of the art, and I'm excited but sad at the same time because we lost a lot of people, and not because they passed away, because the political bullshit and games that people play scared people or shunned people away.
It's the inclusivity thing. I think Remy made it all inclusive because it was the power of him, and then without him, that went away. You saw what Tom wrote again? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've seen that letter.
So,
or is that the press release?
I don't know. And at the end of the day, anything that would have been signed and people tried to sign for a legal document, it's like a will. There was a. They never executed the will. One, two. There was a rumor that another will would have been done. Well, and a lot of people make comments without doing their own research. So I know about this because my name was in the will, along with others that weren't given the opportunities, but they still could have got off their butt and did the same thing if it was important to them. But
I think I saw something like that.
So the will, first thing Remy would so Carl Outram is a brother from another mother and is a paralegal, and the first thing he said was, Tim, if anyone tried to present a will, the first thing I would do as a paralegal in court, I would have it thrown out because it starts right after me. I certify that I have sound mind and body. Well, if you're dying from something, you're not sound body. And they're concerned about you making irrational decisions based on your emotional or possibly your mental state. In case, baseball-sized tumor in his head. What do you think that's going to do to him? That's why I think a lot of the things that were said, another thing. All right. Did we answer all the questions? I mean, did we answer the topic that we're doing?
I think so.
All right. I didn't start this up for next week's show. I'll let you think about this. But next week's show is: Are you teaching police or are you teaching the police? A lot of people throw out they teach police and military when they are not, but they are. What the hell does that mean? Tune in to next week's show. But let's see. Here we go. Okay, I can once again. What's that say again?
So Joe says there was a problem while he was alive. It didn't start at Remy's death. Organization had people not being good or accepting of one another. What people said and did while he wasn't around. No,
that's everywhere though. I mean, you can't.
It's a human thing. But he actually, while that happened sometimes in the background, he kept a pretty even keel, leading the overall group. And so you had people that didn't get along that could still train together.
Well, Remy was the glue that brought us all together. So I mean, listen. I wrote a blog about this a long time ago. Hey, is it a bad thing that we don't get along? No. We wouldn't have gotten along. A lot of us wouldn't have hung out with each other if we hadn't known Remy. And we don't have to be friends. There's a lot of people I would never hang with. Okay. It's just like, yeah, okay, But when I was on the road, I remember after I sat at a Hall of Fame at a table with Jeff Delaney. Jeff was there with Lisa. Janice and I were there. And, it would be funny, Janice, if we end up sitting at the same table. Not only did we end up sitting at the same table, we sat next to each other. Jeff and I were telling jokes all night long.
You got along, yeah.
I had a great conversation with him. You want to know why? I didn't talk about politics. We talked about memories of Remy.
Perfect. That could be a glue if everybody wanted to do that.
I could have easily tore him a new asshole verbally if I wanted to for things that happened. But I'm like, why? Just make the best of it. What's that going to do? There's nothing I can say or do that's going to change anybody's mind. So why not just make the best of a situation? And for all the seminars and camps I was at, that's how I was. Actually, I didn't dislike anybody. There's a couple of people that, I don't like that guy. But I mean, for the most part, I was neutral towards people. There's people I liked, and there were people that were more acquaintances.
One of the things I'll say, and I think, and this is worth saying, and it's better that it comes from me, but one of the things that I think that people should understand is that when you're doing a professional event, you're in an event, you are doing the event, doing the art, whatever. You're not calling people out on stuff. You're taking care of business for the art and for the students there. If you say things in separate venues about how you feel, that's for separate venues. I think you're very good about that. I can't remember ever seeing you at a public event, especially your own event for Remy's art, where you're bad-mouthing other people. I can't say the same of others.
This show is separate from the organization.
Right.
And we're not trash talking. We're talking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go around and say, I think so-and-so is a piece of shit.
Right.
Now, there's a few people right now that I feel that way about them. Okay. And their name has come up during the show. But I don't pull their name up to cause trouble.
Right. To create drama.
No. Well, that's it. Yeah. So I know what exactly. So what Ty's saying is somebody made a comment that when I go to events, there's always drama. No, there's some instructors who don't like me, but the students always have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to be nice and polite to everybody. And I mean, there's a bunch of people that I've been in the room with that I don't like, but we're there to do a job. We're there to teach. And I can even joke with people that I don't care for because, once again, wait for it, I'm making the best of the situation.
Well, when I go to places, what I always remember, and I think you do the same thing, is we're there for the art and the students. That's why we're there. So any of the other stuff doesn't matter, and it's not part of the agenda.
Here we go.
Does that make sense?
I'll challenge someone. Here's the big challenge. Find a spot where I went out trash talking people at seminars. Find a spot that I went out intentionally caused drama at events.
Right.
Hell, I filled in people. I remember getting called to go to Germany because Chuck couldn't make it for some reason or another. And Dieter's like, hey, Tim, come on over. Okay.
Well, I remember you recommending people that you normally personally don't like, but you'll say, hey, if you're in that area and you should go see this person because he's got a piece of what we do.
Listen, if you're in Chicago,
you said it on this show.
I'm going to recommend you to go to Mukesh and Kenny Smith.
Yep.
For Modern Arnis, because those are the two names I know. And Mukesh has got a couple people that teach along own separate programs.
That was a good interview last week. You guys should catch that last week's interview if you didn't already.
You know, if you're in Detroit, I would say Jay Sparrow, because that's the only program I know that's running that has a Modern Arnis program. I don't know Bill Barker. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he has a standalone Arnis program or not. I don't know if Chuck's doing anything anymore. Mm-hmm. I'll tell
everybody.
And there's a couple names I just mentioned that I really don't care for. But the thing here, I'd rather have you in the art. Okay, train. You don't have to train with us. Train with somebody. We need more troops. We need a bigger gene pool for the art to go to the next generation. That's what people don't get about me. They think it's wrong. We need boots on the ground to get out there and do what we need to do.
You likened it before too, and I think it was a good point. Is that Taekwondo? All the Taekwondos know their Taekwondo, and that helps Taekwondo even if you prefer a particular type.
Yeah. So, all right, so we'll have to wrap this up because it's getting late.
Sorry.
3 hours. Holy cow! Almost 3 hour show.
That's crazy. Surprised people stuck around.
It was supposed to be a long one. This one was going to be a fast one.
Well, yeah, I needed to go take a nap. I'm getting old here.
Okay, so your students, just being a student, teacher is teaching students, trying to develop black belts, develop the craft. Masters, mastering the art, trying to master the art, trying to master. Even when you think you've mastered it, still going even further.
Right.
Producing black belts, trying to get your martial art children, increasing the gene pool. Master, you probably should be doing workshops and stuff like that out there to spread the art. Grandmaster, no questions asked. You should be all over the place spreading the art.
True.
Oh, it's WT now. They got rid of the F.
That's right. That's right.
But and right now, when it comes to Modern Arnis, because that's part of the show, the Grandmaster of Modern Arnis position, in my humble opinion, is vacant because there could only be one. So when we start, it's the Highlander. So and I have the blade. But anyways, the thing here is, if we're going to do a Grandmaster, here's the question of all these people that want to wear the title. Tell me how you're going to separate yourself from above and beyond everybody else. How are you going to be that Grandmaster? My GM title comes from the family. Ernesto, who told me he didn't have the authority to promote in Modern, but he did it in his own system as an endorsement for his brother's successor. But it is what it is. Ty, any thoughts about that before we wrap up?
I was just going to reiterate that I'm old school, right? Grandmaster, there's one, and I don't think I'd probably say it as strong, but that I totally get where you're coming from. My point would be that I don't get these because I get the ranks. That's fine, but I'm not understanding Grandmaster with how I looked at Remy when, in my mind, the way I was raised in martial arts is you got one. So who's that one and why?
Yeah. The one is not going to be Remy,
right?
But
because he's gone.
But when it comes to accomplishments, there's some people that could be in contention.
Mm-hmm.
But the people who are wearing the title, most of the people who are wearing the title right now have not done what they need to do, in my opinion. And once again, who would be the one? A one above all. Unless you did 3 regions, the Philippines, Europe,
I guess part of the other thing is that, one could argue there's a difference between a Grandmaster and the Grandmaster. I only come from the latter. right? I'm only familiar with the idea of the Grandmaster. So this is why it's weird for me.
Yeah, that's, and the same thing here. So that's and in modern Arnis, which Remy was the creator of, this is the protocol he established.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't matter if you came up through Ernesto and he was calling it modern Arnis. That wasn't his art. That wasn't his name to throw around that way. He evolved to be his own thing. And Combatan is that evolution. Just like Henegran and Arnis became Roberto's. All three of the brothers were world-class martial artists. But modern Arnis is what Remy did. Combatan is what Ernesto did. And Henegran and Arnis was what Roberto did. Mm-hmm. And they can all say and have their own protocols in their own respective arts. But modern Arnis is, and always will be, Remy Praces. Mm-hmm. So we can't have multiple grandmasters based on the protocols he set up. And nothing is above GM based on what he set up. Mm-hmm. And all this stuff that they said, well, he said this, he said that, with a baseball-sized tumor in his head. So just sit on that and let it percolate for a while. That's why it took people who only had 5 years as black belt and made them heads of the system. Just saying. All right, I'm done. How about you?
We're probably more than done, I bet you.
All right. So next week the show will be on, are you teaching law enforcement and military, or are you just teaching law enforcement and military? As always, everybody, please stay safe, stay sane. This is Dr. Tim.
PG Tye.
And we'll catch you all next week.